Are we reading the decomposition? Next, what are we doing? I mean, we all have that one. If you want to read Aisha's.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I thought we.
No.
So we doing the same part.
No, we're just reading it, then voting on it,
Oh,
and then
okay.
moving forward, and instead of like discussing it fully.
Actually.
Right. Read it. Keep it fast. So. Oh, we're doing introduction again. Once we're
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Are we filming? Okay.
I'm dying.
Okay, you can go.
I'm starting? Okay. So, hi, my name is Karan Samuels. I am a senior musical theater major, originally from Bronx, New York, and I go to Howard University. And theater is so much of my life, so I'm really excited about this process and just collaborating with other creatives.
Hi everyone, I'm Janelle Williams. I am a senior political science major with minors in communications and classical studies. Yes. I am excited. It's going to be a fun time, and yeah, let's start.
Yeah, let's do it.
Again, I'm Tianse Payton. I'm a sophomore political science major, classics minor. I also go to Howard University. What else I'm from Houston, Texas. Yeah.
I'm Jalen. Jalen Knotts. You doing last name?
I did. No.
Jalen Knotts. Sophomore biology major, chemistry minor at Howard University. I am from Houston, Texas.
I'm Aisha Muhammad. I'm a junior English major, playwriting Latin double minor from Philadelphia, also Howard University.
I'm Trayvon Jones. I'm 15 years old, 9th grade at Lausanne Collegiate School, born and raised in Memphis, and been at New Ballet for about 3 years now.
I'm Jazari Kimboy. I'm 15 years old, and I'm also in 10th grade. I go to Cordova High School, and today's my first day at New Ballet Ensemble.
I'm Bree Gabrielle. I'm from Cordova High School, born and raised in Memphis. I am 17 and a senior. I love to perform, so I'm pretty excited to see where this takes us.
My name is LaKendra Riddle. I go to the Soulsville Charter School. I'm 16 years old. I'm in 11th grade, and I've been in New Ballet for a year and a half. Yes.
My name is Henry Hall. I'm in the 10th grade. I go to Cordova High School. I'm 15 years old, and I love to act and dance.
My name is Elijah Tyler. I am a sophomore at Rhodes College, recently declared a major in theater. I am from the wonderful city of Memphis, Tennessee. So yeah, that's great, and I'm very much looking forward to working with these wonderful people here with these wonderful plays that were written.
I'm Davis Creech. I'm a freshman at Rhodes, intended English major. I'm a poet, a powerlifter, and super excited about this. So yeah, ready to get going.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I'm Professor Stark. I'm a professor at Howard University, and yeah, I'm very excited to be here. I even have my Stax socks on from when we went yesterday. So anyway.
Hi, and I'm Professor Morrell. I'm at Rhodes College. So yeah, thanks for everybody for coming out. You know way too much about me already. It's very sad. And we have over here, we've got a guest.
Oh.
Come on in.
Well, how do you do?
Fine. How are you?
I'm fantastic, thank you.
Do you want me to say something?
Introduce yourself.
My name's Mark Willis. I'm working with New Ballet. I've been, I guess, a friend from afar since they were conceived and implemented, and Katie and I are friends from just life and growing up. And I'm working with them on a couple of projects, and just came by to see you people and see smiles, and just stay plugged in. Did I say my name?
Yeah.
I did. Okay.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. Welcome.
Thank you.
And over here we've got.
Hello, I am Alexis Jackson. I'm the Director of Creative Youth Development here at New Ballet Ensemble. Also a Rhodes College grad, Poli-Sci Classics.
Yeah.
So glad to be here as well.
Okay, did you get, is it working yet?
No, it's still trying to sync it. And so I can go to the one I've already downloaded. So can we do that? And then while it's still doing it, so we'll get the one I use just for now. Oh, because that's the one I don't have. All right. So shall we just go alphabetically? Is that okay?
Yes.
So why don't we do the washerwomen?
Oh no, it is. It is. Looking at the thing.
No, it's not.
Yeah.
I don't know if I've been in it. I might have the PDFs.
I'm trying to get my brain straight. You got to.
They literally just said the name. They said it's an agency order, and I actually it might not be. Sometimes I like this one.
Might not be bad.
Washerwoman.
Okay.
Damn it. Okay.
At least you can play the dinosaur game.
Play the dinosaur game.
I want to be live.
Hopefully that's how you say her name.
Guess
Is
what?
it Liza?
Mind if I share with you?
Oh, yes.
Who's in Atlanta?
Oh, it's going to be good. Okay.
I want to be
Wait, what are we looking at?
I'll be Rafleisha.
So we need definitely.
Like Rasputia.
Oh, okay.
And we need, somebody gotta be chorus leader
Can I
1
be
and 2.
I'll be
Liza,
chorus leader.
Rosizo, I know you said Penn, chorus leader 1 and 2.
I can
I
do
like how I
one.
didn't put the
One.
chance somewhere.
You wanna be 2? Okay. And we got everybody.
So you want to be the narrator?
Who's the
I'll
narrator?
narrate it. Scene, 1881. It's an unremarkable downtown Atlanta street. The fragile yellow-gray space before dawn. Out of the welling gloom, 2 figures approach a bench. One bursting out from stage right in a fury of color and skirts, the other slinking behind her like a shadow. The first is Rafflesia. Is that how you pronounce it?
Rafleisha.
Rafleisha?
That's
Rafflesia Bloomington glances around, nervously, chin up. This is not her side of town, but she has a right to be here. She gathers her fine, dirty skirts around her and the lights on the bench. After her, Pen Sapo, a bit more at ease, leans against the other side of the bench. Doesn't sit. He looks a bit hangdog. Maybe it's early for him, or maybe he doesn't like his company right now. He opens his notebook and twirls a pencil in his hand. After a moment of near dignified quiet, Rafflesia huffs.
Ridiculous. Make me wait like this.
You just got here, Mrs. Bloomington.
First, they make me wait for my clothes.
That's the point of the strike, yes.
Now I have to wait for negotiations too? It's ridiculous.
I'll tell you what's ridiculous. That smell.
Maybe it's the smell of my patience. It's withered up and dried ever since the washerwomen went on strike.
No, it's definitely your clothes.
This whole situation stinks.
Yeah, you heard of soap, right? A little
Lie.
A little lye, a little grease goes a long way.
Here's a little lie, Mr. Sapo. Meet us at the North Avenue bench on Friday before dawn to discuss ending the strike. And a little grease? Those washwomen are supposed to apply that with their elbows when they do my laundry.
In the midst of the preceding triad, Liza and the chorus filed on the street from stage left and stopped just short of the bench in front of Penn. They wear humble, pretty dresses, lots of different solid colors, patches, some aprons, some headscarves or bonnets. Not a lot of layers. Unlike Refla's dress, however, they're clean. No one, not even Liza, stands out from one another as far as apparel. Liza is in the middle of the group. R doesn't notice them, too caught up in the gesticulating and clutching at a soiled handkerchief. Penn nods at the washing society. He's just polite, not friendly, but could probably be convinced to take the washerwoman's side based on the sheer volume of inanity spilling from R.
which they haven't for a fortnight.
Seniors, all they're asking for is a standard rate and some more respect. Surely those go a long way too.
They forget their place.
Funny, I could have sworn this was a place we agreed upon. At her words, the group parts.
At her words, the group parts to reveal Liza, who strolls forward.
Oh, my bad. There you go.
She looks around at her group, remembering by their wide eyes that maybe she should be a little nervous to speak this way. But she isn't, not really. Nothing to fear from a woman in soil skirts and her pet reporter.
It wasn't me who made the arguments, the arrangements, my bad. Through Mrs. Sapo. Sapo? Sapo, my bad. Mr. Sapo here. My name is Liza.
You're late, girl.
The group bristles. Liza raises a single hand to about hip height, only a subtle placation. The others settle.
Well, Mrs. Bloomington, let me check.
She begins counting off her fingers, starting with the middle one.
We have no votes.
No schools.
Oh, sorry. No, guy. You good?
No schools.
No politicians in our corner.
No money.
No respect from any of you.
What we do have is time. That's what you've been paying for all along, right? So I'll use mine as I please.
I don't want to pay for it like this.
You don't want to pay for it at all, but you will. Tell your man and all his little friends.
As she speaks next, the chorus begins a low, wordless cheer.
Until we get a standard rate, until we get higher wages, until we get a thank you now and then, the Washington Society of Atlanta is on strike.
Ridiculous. Why would we pay you more? All you're doing is scrubbing clothes.
If it's so easy, you should try it sometimes.
Right.
It does.
Sorry.
It does wonders for the smell.
R squawks and gestures wildly at Penn, whose head has been on a swivel between the two, as if he were watching the spirited game of Batman. And maybe to him, this is more entertainment than the question of livelihood it is to the washerwomen. At R's insistent look, he slows his scribbling. Liza watches, unimpressed. There's a stark difference. The washerwomen are friends and allies. The opposition here are alone in their own causes, self-righteous anger and lukewarm journalism, respectively.
What am I supposed to say?
Wait, that's not fun.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Say your piece. Pieces.
Oh no, I'm just a messenger.
A messenger without a message of his own? How sad to be washed up already.
Good Lord, I wonder which is sharper, your tongue or your mind.
When I agreed to this meet, I thought that we could settle things reasonably.
Didn't see reasons.
When it presents itself, I will.
It's staring you in the face.
Yes, I see now. A steam laundry funded by the employers you've betrayed.
Couldn't do it as cheap as us or as well.
We'll tax you to high heaven.
Tax what? You pay us too poor to get anything good off of us.
R raises a finger and opens her mouth. She's got nothing.
You act big now, but 20 years ago.
She trails off at Liza's raised eyebrows, points at Liza, then a few different washerwomen. Still nothing. She spins on her heel and bustles away. Exits stage right. Tip lipped and fuming. Penn slides onto the seat of the bench properly now, from where he'd been leaning on the arm.
Still taking notes. Awfully dedicated to the messenger gig.
Permanent press.
No one appreciates the pun because permanent press did not exist in 1881.
Can you take our message then?
Penn nods.
Alright, it goes like this.
The following can be done with or without music. I haven't written a tune for it, but if the mood or muse strikes, it could be done, I guess. The chorus dances as they please. Penn sits transfixed, transcribing.
They can take away our money.
They can take away our pride. They forget that we've got time.
We've got time.
We've got labor, we've got soap, we've got neighbors. Watching women on every block, one is better now, not later. We want more from this city, we want more from this world.
God protects us.
We protect us.
We want power. We want justice.
Let the paper spin, the saga of the laundry bin. Washerwomen on strike.
We'll strike and win.
They end with a hearty cheer and satisfied begin to wander off stage left. A few lines can be heard about solidarity, the mayor, the newspaper. They're already planning their next move. After a moment, Penn startles and jogs after Liza.
Spin the wait. I didn't get the last.
And then he wrote, so, you want me to read this?
No, that's just the commentary.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so let's just take a couple minutes, write down a few ideas if you have, and then we'll move on to the next one.
There we go. It was funny.
Stand on your own.
No, we did, but I like it.
So while you're writing down your ideas, let's just say that this is based on Aristophanes' Lysistrata, which is a comedy that depicts the events during the Peloponnesian War. This is between the allies of the Athenians and allies of the Spartans, and this war lasted almost 30 years. Right? And Aristophanes writes a comedy in which the women decide to bring this war to an end by going on a sex strike. Okay, so there's just going to be no sex until these two sides come together, and so it's all about getting the women all on board to do this strike, and getting women from the Spartans as well, and then they also seize the treasury, which is on the Acropolis, and so they've got the money, and then they're withholding sex from all the men until they get, and then. The of course that's a fairly comic sort of scenario in and of itself, but then the women, some are more committed to this project than others, right? And then there's these very comic scenes about seducing the men, getting them, thinking that this is going to happen, then leaving them cold. A bunch of old men are up there trying to break their way into the treasury and so on. So it's a wonderful comedy, and it is the comedy that forms the basis for Spike Lee and Kevin Wilmot's Chirac.
Mm-hmm.
It's the same sort of thing. So anyway, that's the base, and so this is the notion where the washerwomen are going on strike, right, and for their own sort of social benefit.
Which one's next?
So before we move on, Jordan, did you want to?
Oh yes, we need to introduce Jordan. There you are. Introduce yourself. Yeah, tell who you are.
Okay, my name is Jordan. I'm a sophomore at Rhodes. My major is physics and my minor is Africana studies. I apologize for my tardiness, but I have a nonprofit that feeds about 500 kids a day, and we're working on getting a new space. So that's what I was doing.
Awesome. Yeah, thank you, Jordan. Jordan, yes.
Next, can I ask her a question?
Yeah, of course.
It's about physics. How is it majoring in physics? How is that?
Physics at Rhodes is hard. It's meant to challenge you, to prepare you for what's to come. So you can expect something new every day and expect a challenge. That's what they say.
Welcome, Jordan. Okay. What's next? Oh, it's your play. That's all right. Very good. Jordan, do you want to say a few words about what your
we read this one.
concept?
Oh yeah,
hers is.
No, y'all didn't. Learning to Freedom is the title.
Okay.
Oh, we read this.
Okay, we did. Yeah.
Oh, we gotta read it. Everybody didn't read it. We just want to know we read this in Africa.
So I'll just mention this that when I was in Washington with the students from Howard, we went through we worked through this a little bit. They already had some great ideas. Okay. So Jordan, tell everybody about just to set the setting here.
Okay, so I did a continuation of The Darker Face of the Earth because it has 2 acts, and I feel like we deserve a third.
Yes,
so
we did.
I had to create something.
Amen.
Yeah, so I chose to keep everything the same characters, but I kind of made Augustus more unlike the stereotypical black man. I feel like in The Darker Face of the Earth, he was just prideful, and he had so much pride. but I wanted people to know there's more to black men. So I wanted to do something that I could explore my heritage as well as many others and show that the stereotypical black man is not always the black man that we find.
Oh, so you started with story of OJ. Amen. I'm already here for this.
Can I be Augustus? Yeah, Augustus.
Somebody want to be Phoebe?
Oh no, you can be. I'll be Diana.
Diana. Celia.
Skilla.
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 I think that's everything.
No, there's
Benjamin.
Oh, Benjamin.
I'll be
And Diana.
No,
Oh, there it
somebody's
is.
Diana. Okay, we got everybody.
You gotta read your narration.
Oh, your narrations.
Okay, should I tell you like before the play begins? Like, do I have to talk about the song?
We played the song. We know the song. It's a great song. It's a really makes a great introduction to this play. Yeah, that was a great
I
idea.
had to talk to my creative director back then. My sister is very musically inclined, so she came up with it. Okay, so scene 1. Back in the cabin, Augustus is in shock regarding what has taken place in the big house. He stands in the window looking out over the plantation and talks to Phoebe.
Right, can I just stop you?
Yeah.
Have you guys read Darker Face of the Earth? We kind of launched without assuming.
No.
Okay, so could you give them like a short? Sorry, because I mean I think it's important what you said, but I think also they don't know.
So,
like, what
do you know the
happened.
story of Oedipus?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, that's a great start. So they're familiar somewhat.
Okay, so the darker face of the earth is kind of like a reinterpretation of Oedipus. So Augustus is like the main character somewhat. He's mulatto, so his mom is white and his dad is a slave. And in the beginning he's given away, and then eventually he ends up being bought by his mom, but she doesn't know that's her son. They have this relationship that becomes sexual. And then towards the end, he comes to her telling him like about who he thinks his mom is, and then she finally like connects the dots that she's the mom. And she kills herself because she can't live with the pain. So we gonna start there.
Isn't that like the same as Oedipus?
Yes,
but they
never
find out really.
It just adds different elements in terms of the institution of slavery.
Yeah.
And its destructive elements. Also the fact that he was considered like difficult. So the part of the reason he came to that plantation, he was purchased by that plantation, is because he was labeled a difficult slave or very prideful slave. And so his journey back was just purchase after purchase after purchase. And so it just adds a different element to the story.
He's a slave.
Yes, he's a slave.
And Oedipus was like a
king. So she purchased him intentionally, still not knowing that's her son, but still feeling some, in terms of the dialogue, an odd connection to him or draw to him that she couldn't quite explain. And so that's part of the reason why it became romantic and became sexual for them. But then they realize that connection is really familial, and that's when it becomes, of course, super awkward. But it was already forbidden outside of the incest because he was a slave, and because she was a slave master and a white woman and owner of a plantation. And just being a woman and owner of a plantation too is its own difficult thing. But yeah, so it's a lot more layered in a different way than the original Oedipus.
All right.
Yeah.
Read.
That is all.
I'm so sorry you had to see that, Phoebe, but we have to leave now.
I can't believe she would do that to herself. What did you do to her? What did you say to her to cause her to do that?
We do not have time for this, Phoebe. Amelia was my mother, and upon discovery, she stabbed her eyes out because she couldn't deal with the shame. Phoebe, we have to leave now because people will think I got loose and killed my master.
We? Where will we go? Are we not free now?
No, we are not. We are not free here, nor will we ever be. Here in this plantation, Phoebe, there is only a matter of time before the white people hear of this revolt and react. Please run away with me, Phoebe.
What about my friends? What will happen to them?
They can come along, but we must move fast.
Phoebe leaves the cabin in search of her friends. Augustus gathers some food and wonders what life will be like to be totally free. Then the black conspirators enter.
I cannot believe you actually went through with it.
Please don't. This is way too much to handle. When do we leave?
There's a wagon waiting for you that will take you to the home of Sparrow, who will help you to freedom.
I must wait for Phoebe. I cannot leave her here.
Augustus says we have to leave now.
Why? Aren't we free now since Amalia and Lewis are dead?
Child, I know it seems that way, but Augustus is right. On this plantation, we will never be free, but freedom is close.
What is in store for us? This is very scary.
I cannot tell you all the details, but everything will be okay.
You have not been wrong yet, so when I say run, head to Augustus' cabin.
What are you about to do?
I'm gonna make sure no one else will suffer on this plantation the way we did.
Phoebe takes the lit torch used for light and sets fire to the fields.
No, now run!
The group meets Augustus at the cabin. He is unsure of what has happened.
Why are you all running? Phoebe, tell me what is wrong.
I.
What did you do?
She set the field on fire.
You did what? Why would you do something like that?
Augustus, that was the first free thing I've ever done. I made sure no one like us would suffer here again.
That may be true, but the wagon was hidden at the end of the field.
I'm so sorry. I didn't know.
What are we gonna do now?
We are going to follow the plan, but on foot. We have to move now.
Okay, so I'm going to insert a song right here. Not kind of sure which one. They begin to run. It becomes very tiring, but they have to keep pushing. The music fades out, and you hear bloodhounds barking.
What is that sound?
We have to move faster because they have dogs tracking us.
I know to get rid of them. I know how to get rid of them. I see some... What is it?
Miriam oleanders.
There you go. Right ahead.
We do not have time to pick flowers.
Scylla has always told me to never pick these flowers. They are poisonous. Give me a piece of fish.
Augustus passes Phoebe the fish, and she stuffs it with Miriam oleanders. They continue to run and realize something has changed. The barking stops, and it is evident that the plan has worked. The hellhounds are dead. After several days of running, they stumble upon an abandoned warehouse on the coast. Scylla and Diana are somewhat weak and panting. Phoebe, look for any material that will help them build some sort of boat.
I'm so tired. I need to rest.
I know, child. We are almost there. How about we rest on that rock over there?
Go ahead. Me and Phoebe will go search for materials.
Phoebe and Augustus gather sticks, pieces of wood, barrels, and rope. They take a seat and begin building a raft.
You have truly changed my life, and you mean a lot to me.
I have never cared about a person the way I care about you. Phoebe means bright and shining, and that is exactly what you are.
Phoebe and Augustus have a romantic dance scene to express their love. After the dance, they go get the others and begin to sail north to freedom.
Oh, can I please say something? This is the exact scene from the Underground. The pieces of it, yeah. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I remember this. Is that the movie? Is it the show?
No.
Is that the show?
Like some of the characters kind of resemble some of the characters.
Yeah. Is it? Oh gosh, I know this was. This is pretty nice.
Just jot down any ideas that come, and then we'll move on.
I have two of these if anybody needs one.
Oh boy.
We have multiple copies of Spencer's left.
I know this one never.
Where?
Anyone needs a copy
It's the biggest question.
It's just 3 characters, right? And narrator.
Oh, there's a monologue.
President
What is
Franklin.
a monologue?
Okay, we don't have to here.
So why don't I say just a word about this, and Davis and Elijah can help me because we talked a little bit about this in class. Spencer is basing this for those of you who know House of Cards. This is based loosely on the characters in the House of Cards. Okay, it's a Netflix project. I think it was a Netflix project. That follows the political fortunes of this couple. And so he eventually becomes president, and so it's sort of set in, it's sort of a Washington insider kind of thing. I won't say more about House of Cards, it's a really interesting and very compelling drama. But that's the situation here. Okay?
Like
Is
to
it
narrate.
based on a Greek poem?
No, on House of Cards.
Yes, I think it was. I can't remember.
I can't remember what he said.
Yeah.
I guess we'll find out.
Yeah.
I think it's either the Bacchae or Oedipus.
Wow.
I can't remember.
Because it's like the Greek.
Oh.
So we need volunteer to be president. You want to be president?
Can I be vice president?
There's a monologue
Yes, absolutely. And first lady?
Nobody wants to be president?
Who would be first lady? Okay, awesome.
There's a
Ready?
Ready.
Scene: the presidential bedroom. At the center, a large bed decadent in nature with nightstands on either side. A lamp is lit and situated on the left nightstand. The room is dimly lit. Dressed in a black and white nightgown, the First Lady sits on the right side of the bed, facing stage right with her arms on his knees. What? Yeah, and his hands clasped together, awaiting the arrival of the Vice President. Enter the Vice President from stage left.
Has he completely lost his mind?
If only.
Can I convince him otherwise?
You're gonna have your chance to try in just a bit.
Christ, people are dying and the president can't recognize a friend from an enemy anymore?
I think he barely recognizes me, to be perfectly honest. He hasn't slept in days.
Why me though? The extent of my political interaction has been smiling for the cameras, while he has been signing laws and fighting legislation.
He is just looking for someone to blame as an explanation for the chaos.
So he's pointing the finger at me? After the countless obstacles we overcame side by side, he has decided that I am going to show my true colors during his 6 years president of the United States and stab him in the back? For what? A couple of years as president during a national crisis? Ridiculous.
He's had these angry spells before. We'll get through this one just like we got through the others.
No, this is different. He has never targeted his own before. Is he doing the same to you?
We have been sleeping in different rooms, if that is what you mean.
Do you know when he will arrive?
I've been told he is already in the building.
Enter President Frank from stage left.
What are you doing in my room?
You wouldn't have this house without me, Frank.
Frank? A first name basis is reserved for those whom I trust. Mr. President will be much more appropriate for you.
Well, Mr. President, if the title is so important to you, maybe you should start acting like one.
My actions are not what is being questioned here. You are the one who is trying to take this for yourself. I can't believe that I hadn't predicted this happening. It must be hard to be the shadow of the most powerful man of the free world. And I should have guessed it was only a matter of time before you grew tired doing nothing while only a vice away from being the real deal. Now that I see it, I must say I am impressed. How long did it take before you decided you were tired of smiling and waving? Must have at least been some time during my first presidential term. Maybe you thought I was going to falter in my re-election, and you could take the lead candidacy. No, it was long before I ever became president, wasn't it? You have probably had this plan in mind ever since I asked for you to be on the ticket. My success has been hellish for you to watch, hasn't it? Yet, you continued. You schemed for years looking for an end, and now that the nation is going down, the shitter, you found it. Blame the nation's problems on Frank and get him impeached. Well, it won't work, not only because I'm better than you and saw through your plan, but also because I could personally find a way to kill you before you took on the title of Mr. President.
Sir, you honestly believe I personally sabotaged your legacy so that I could be president?
I am certain of it.
You have lost all sense of reality, Mr. President. Why would I ever want to be president after seeing what you have had to go through over the last 6 years?
You are jumping to conclusions.
No, I am jumping to squash mutiny before it uproots our foundations.
If you are squashing mutiny that doesn't exist, you only gain resentment from those who follow you.
Of course there's mutiny. I can hear it in the way you speak to me.
You are accusing your closest friend and running mate of mutiny because of his tone? How could you be so petty while people are suffering so much? Get a grip, Frank. Drop this bullcrap. Hide my attitude and focus on the more pressing matters at hand. Your people are dying, and we need to work together to find a way to stop it.
We cannot solve anything with treachery at work.
We cannot solve anything when the president is more concerned about his title than the safety of his people.
Put it to rest, both of you. Are you going to ever stop quarreling? Or would you rather all of our hard work be lost to the political scandal? We don't have the time nor the energy to afford such pointless bickering.
She's right. I don't have time to be doing this. Too much needs to be accomplished.
Exit Vice President, stage left.
You coward.
So now my own wife is rising against me?
Your wife is trying to get your mind back on the task on fixing your people before you exile who is closest to you. But if you are willing to let your rage become more important than your country, then maybe we do need someone else taking charge.
The First Lady crawls under the sheets of the bed on the right side. President Frank is situated on the left side of the bed. He pauses, looking hostile towards the First Lady, but says nothing. He then calmly turns off the lamp on the nightstand and exits stage left. Outside the bedroom, a child sits next to a radio crisscross. The child leans forward and presses play on the radio. Hey, That's No Way to Say Goodbye begins to play.
I love
you in the morning. Our kisses deep and warm. Your hair upon the pillow like a sleepy golden storm.
Yes, many loved before us. I know that we are not new. In city and in forest, they smiled like me and you. But let's not talk of love or chains and things we can't untie. Your eyes are soft with sorrow. Hey, that's no way to say goodbye.
This is just Oedipus training.
This Ed.
Oedipus training.
When he's
tyranny. Okay.
I actually thought that but Frank would make a good Pentheus character. Yeah, and his Davis, but it's
So yeah, take a few minutes to write down some comment suggestions.
Yeah, I'm
I do. That's right.
Yeah, you can. That was Jayla.
Oh.
I never texted it.
Oh, okay.
Pretty good.
Did you have some?
No, she ain't trying. No. It's really good. Try it. It's like, imagine a sneakers with no peanut. Or, it's good food. It's just toffee. It's just toffee. That's it. Like all the chocolate gonna fade away. It's just toffee. What's next?
Downstairs. So Noah's is next, and this is the one with Agamemnon and Liz kind of messed up. I'm just going alphabetically. Thank you.
We can provide a little
What
background.
is it called?
What are we
Is
doing?
this Iphigenia?
Oh, Iphigenia.
So I can provide a little background for this.
Doesn't have a title.
Noah's scene is based on Iphigenia at Aulis. This is a play by Euripides, and it depicts a moment before the Trojan War when the Greeks are stranded at a place called Aulis, and they can't sail to Troy because the winds won't blow. And the reason why the winds, so they consult the soothsayers, the seers, and they learn that the reason why the winds won't blow is because Agamemnon has offended the god Artemis. And she is going to demand from him a sacrifice, namely his daughter Iphigenia. So in order to get Iphigenia to come to Aulis from her home in Mycenae, he conveys the message to her that she is going to become the wife of Achilles. And of course this is like, wow, this is like marrying the #1 eligible bachelor in all of the Greek-speaking world. And so she's very excited, and so she and her mother and the entourage come down to Aulis for this wedding. It turns out not to be a wedding at all, and so Agamemnon and Menelaus are going back and forth, and they finally decide that they're just not going to do this. It's just not worth it to sacrifice Iphigenia. So they try to engineer a way to call it off, but all of the Greek forces are there and anxious, and they want to go fight this war, and so they find themselves up against the entire sort of will of the Greek army wanting to go to war, and viewing that it's just Agamemnon's daughter that stands in the way of their sailing. And why should Agamemnon, the leader of this expedition, not be willing to sacrifice his own child in the interest, because so many other Greek families are going to sacrifice their children in this cause. So it's all about and of course Achilles is outraged to think that Agamemnon had used him as a pawn to get to get Iphigenia, and he decides that he's going to defend her. And did you want to?
No, I was just going to say, but I think in Noah's reworking here, he's also trying to see Iphigenia at Aulis. So that's accurate for the play, but then it sets up the Oresteia. So when Agamemnon goes and fights the Trojan War, when he comes back home, all hell breaks loose because his wife still remembers that you killed our daughter. And so I think partly it's revisiting that question: what if the tables had been the other way around? So.
And the big, just to finish up a little bit about the Iphigenia, when so Achilles volunteers to defend Iphigenia, and she realizes that the entire Greek army is against them, and that in defending her, he would undoubtedly lose his own life. At which point she says, "No, it's not worth it. I'm going to. If this is what has to happen, why should I be any more special than anyone else?" And she then voluntarily goes to be sacrificed. So ends that play. And of course Clytemnestra is there and thinking, how
some versions, right?
Yeah. How could that, this is Euripides' version, okay?
Right.
So how could Agamemnon, how could her own father agree to something like this? And then that begins the plotting for vengeance when he comes home after the war. So Noah has set this in a conflict among crime families, okay? So think of the mafia, where
it's in the
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
So we need Agamemnon.
Agamemnon.
Good.
And a Menelaus. Okay, and then a Clytemnestra. Okay, and chorus. We'll just all be chorus, and then a groom.
I could be the groom.
Okay.
Also need
And a wedding officiant.
We need it, yeah.
Oh yeah, Iphigenia we need school.
I think she's a silent character.
Oh.
Cause he didn't bold her.
Bold her.
Yeah, so I think she just.
But if she
no,
does
she has
have
a
to-
line.
Okay, so we need an Iphigenia.
I could do it. Okay, no, that sounds good. Oh.
And then we need a narrator.
No narrator.
Okay.
It's the commentary prefix.
We don't do the commentary, just do start with the
Well, it
sentence,
says
I think.
prefix, so you don't want me to read the prefix. I think y'all just went over that.
There's
So I'll
a
just
text.
do this
Where it
setting.
says the curtains. Where it says the curtains open.
Yeah. Do you want me to read where it says scene? I mean setting or no?
Setting, yes.
Yeah.
Okay, setting. The scene takes place in the roaring 20s before the market crash of 1929. It is prohibition time and a time of peak power of the Italian mafia. In the world of the scene, New York City has been effectively split between two distinct mafia families. The Aegean family.
The Aegean
family.
Oh.
The Aegean family, led by Don Agamemnon. Okay, hold on.
That's a boss name.
And the Anatolia, is that how you say it?
Anatolian.
Anatolian family, led by the Don Priam, have been coexisting without majorly interfering with each other for some time. Agamemnon, poisoned with ambition, plans with his brother Menelaus to set up the murder of his own daughter Iphigenia. He plans for this murder to be constructed in such a way as to scapegoat the Anatolians in an excuse to go to war against them, to seize their assets and become the sole crime family in New York. Iphigenia has been engaged to be married, and the wedding reception is where Agamemnon has decided to carry out his plan for maximum outrage. Text. The curtains open to a scene of revel. The wedding reception is underway. Upstage left, a ragtime quartet plays upbeat music as the guests talk among themselves, some swing dancing. The men are dressed in tuxedos and the women formal dresses. A large bar dominates stage right, fully stocked. The quartet and the bar frame a wide arbor with the pulpit upstage central. Iphigenia stands nestled against her newlywed husband in conversation with a couple of the guests. Clytemnestra stands against the bar, watching her daughter proudly. Enter Agamemnon, stage left, flanked by Menelaus.
Are you sure about this? There was no going back.
Relations have been too cordial as of late. It must be something drastic. She would understand. It is in the best interest of her family and the necessary sacrifice.
That's easy to say when it's not your life. Brother, this is your daughter. One last time, allow me to attempt to sway you from this course. If...
Agamemnon affixes Menelaus with a cold stare.
The hardest choice requires the strongest wills. She is my daughter, but she is also the key to the unification of the city under one family, under my family. You will not attempt to dissuade me.
Menelaus quickly looks away, clearing his throat. Clytemnestra notices the interaction and begins to casually watch her husband and brother-in-law talk from the bar.
Well, in any case, all's well that ends well.
Stop wasting time. The toast is soon. You picked the right glass, yes? You put it in the right glass, yes?
Of course I did. I'm not a fool. Once she drinks, your wish will be fulfilled.
Agamemnon appears unconvinced. Clytemnestra hears the last words of Menelaus. Head snapping to attention, the band begins their final song.
The board is set, peace is primed, duplicity from the shepherd, the king into rule, who now sacrifices his daughter, forcing her into a grotesque tool, shaped to devastate the peace.
If only he knew that the reign of the tyrant only ends in pain, the king will never feel peace until he himself is in peace.
The band's song slowly ends, and as the song ends, the guests slowly start to file back to their tables as the wedding officiant stands and moves towards the arbor and takes the pulpit.
Who's the wedding officiant?
It has been a night full of revel and joy. Joined here to celebrate the lovely Africana and her husband. Let us toast to the newlywed couple.
A waiter brings forward a serving tray with 2 glasses, one labeled with bride, the other adorned with groom. Clytemnestra steps toward the enraptured couple.
Oh, what joy this evening and your union has brought me, and everyone else here. In the service of that, why don't you both give each other your own drink? To start off a loving union. Serve each other from your own cup to symbolize the absence of the individual and an individual's possessions.
Iphigenia perks up at the suggestion. Obviously in favor of it, Agamemnon steps forward.
Why break tradition? The bride must drink her own drink. It is simply how it always been. Ritual exists for a reason.
The guests shuffle awkwardly at the display.
All this talk of ritual. This is our daughter's wedding, not some funeral rite from a bygone era. I think it would be fun, but do not simply take my word for it. See what your daughter wants. It is her day after all.
Why all this argument over a simple toast? This is a happy time. Is this a funeral? Do you see any dead here? This is a celebration of life. Come, husband, drink from my cup, as I will drink from yours.
The couple drinks from each other's cups before Agamemnon has a chance to respond.
Well, I do believe that settles it, husband.
Clytemnestra beams at her husband, but is more of a predatory smile. The groom suddenly starts sweating profusely, clearly in distress of some kind.
Excuse me, please. That did not go down as sweetly as it looked it would.
He exits stage left, the wedding officiant attending him.
I suppose my husband cannot handle his drink. Tonight looks to be an uneventful night together indeed.
The crowd chuckles at her joke. Agamemnon shuffles uneasily, preparing for what is to come. The wedding officiant rushes back on stage, coming from stage left, distraught.
The groom. There is no easy way to say this. He is dead.
A great wail erupts out of Iphigenia as a crowd of guests gasp in shock. Clytemnestra wheels on Agamemnon with venom.
You monster! You did this. You were responsible for this. If it were not for my intervention, our daughter would be dead. And even though I did intervene, the blood of her husband is on my hands.
Iphigenia turns to Agamemnon, weeping.
Is this true? Father, did you commit this unspeakable act? Was it your will for me, your daughter who has only ever loved you, to be killed in such a horrid fashion? Your will that exacted itself on my poor husband.
She takes a step towards Agamemnon, trembling in anger. Agamemnon opens his mouth to speak and is then cut off by Clytemnestra.
Of course,
Do not let the... Oh.
No, you're good.
Do not let this snake open his mouth again, lest he weave more of his lies. I heard with my own ears his foul plot to murder our daughter. I could not believe what I had heard, and thus only took action to make sure my daughter did not drink from her own cup. And now I am complicit due to my inaction. I am damned, but whatever hell I will experience will be a light burden compared to the agony that must be in store for you, husband.
Oh, Menelaus steps from Agamemnon's side to Clytemnestra. She stands flanked by Menelaus and Iphigenia.
I can vouch for all that she has said. It has been Agamemnon's intent to murder his daughter in order to frame the Anatolians as an excuse to go to war. I tried to turn him from this path time and time again, yet he has a poisoned mind.
The men in the crowd have now reached Agamemnon and seized him.
No. All I did to secure a better future for our family, even if it was at the cost of one of my beloved. I stand before you all, not a good man, but a man who is willing to do what needed to be done.
You
sniveling psycho sycophant. Never have I heard a warmonger have such a benevolent view of himself. You deserve nothing but dogs. Feed into them. Such a worthless man deserves nothing better.
The angry mob drags Agamemnon out of sight, stage left. The band plays a funeral dirge in the background as this is happening, the beat finally fading to nothingness as Agamemnon leaves the stage, leaving the scene feeling empty. Curtain closes.
Isn't this like another play or a movie or something? It's not The Godfather, but it's like another gangster movie where this thing happens.
I mean, it's a very formulaic in terms of its setup. You can compare it to a lot of other stories. I mean, this could look to you Romeo and Juliet-esque in a lot of ways too. So
I just thought there was a specific wedding scene where they try to kill off a family member to start a gang war.
Godfather?
Is it in The Godfather? Is it part? That's Godfather Part 2.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Come to me on the day of my daughter's wedding.
Oh yeah. See, that's what it was. Yeah.
Which one is next?
You're up.
No, it's mine.
Okay. So we're in Electra.
Yes.
When?
I'm like, what am I doing?
Oh, I should have you.
Oh. What? Oh no, I was saying each time I looked at my phone to check the time, I forgot what I was doing.
It's on 5, yeah, I know that much. Whew, you ain't even voted yet.
Oh yeah, sure. I'll say something about it. My scene is from. It's like a reimagining of the end of Oedipus Tyrannus, but instead of working off of an Oedipus complex, I use the Electra complex instead.
Which is?
It's when the daughter is in love with her father. She beds her father and kills her mother instead of the opposite.
Okay.
So.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought that was really interesting, just like to play with some gender roles.
Also Freud.
When your Electra
your cast?
Oh, I guess, yeah. Who wants to be Eddie?
I can be Eddie.
Okay, who wants to be Electra?
I'll be Electra.
Alright. Sergeant Terry.
I'll be Sergeant Terry.
Police officer.
I can be.
Alright, and then everybody wants to be the chorus. Okay. The scene opens on a high-class restaurant. Music from a quartet can lightly be heard in the background. Placed center stage is a couple enjoying a dinner date. Steak for the man, stage right, salad for the woman, stage left. The man is Eddie, and the woman is Electra, an unmarried couple. Electra is 8 months pregnant with Eddie's child, and he is planning on proposing to her tonight. The waiter brings a bottle of red wine to the table.
Wow, Eddie Merlot, what's the occasion?
Well, there actually is something I wanted to say.
Okay. Handsome, spit it out.
Electra, ever since I met you, I feel like my life has actually been worth living. It's like I'm seeing this world in full color for the first time. And now that we're having a baby together, I couldn't feel more right about this.
Oh my God, what are you saying?
He reaches for a ring in his coat pocket and gets down on one knee.
Electra, I want to spend the rest of my life with you. After losing my wife all those years ago, I didn't know if I could ever love again. But I know I found it now. Will you marry me?
Stands up ecstatic.
Oh my God, yes! Yes, dear God, yes!
What a beautiful display of love. A sacred bond between man and woman, man and wife. The two will be mother and father to their child.
He puts the ring on her finger. She looks down at the ring with a nervous, even terrified look.
The ring is upsetting the girl. Maybe she is captivated by its beauty, or perhaps even terrified of the consequences of marriage.
Turning to the chorus.
No, I love him.
Love is a dangerous plaything in the hands of fate. It can be twisted and molded into a conduit of torture. Let's hope you both are spared.
What's wrong, honey? Is the ring not good enough?
No, baby, no. The ring is perfect. It's just, I was so shocked when I first saw it. That's all. It's really beautiful.
Both sitting down in unison.
I'm so glad, sweetie.
Oh, Eddie, this is great. Now we can raise our child together as a married couple. Move in together in our own little house outside the city. This is so exciting. I can't believe.
Sergeant Terry enters stage left, interrupting her.
Let me stop you right there. Electra, you're not getting married anytime soon. Especially to this man. I'm taking you in.
Whoa, what are you talking about? I haven't done anything wrong.
Honey, what's going on?
Sir, it's better you don't ask questions. We're taking Electra down to the station.
What could such an innocent girl have done to deserve such a punishment?
Angrily gets up out of her chair.
I haven't done anything. You can't take me anywhere. I'm staying right here, and we're gonna get married.
What could she have done to deserve such a punishment?
Electra, we've been chasing you for years. Time and time again, you slipped away from the police force. We've had enough evidence from all the crime scenes to convict you for years, but we haven't been able to catch you until now. We know you've been committing serial robberies for almost 10 years. We found your hair and fingerprints on your gun at the jewelry store you robbed a few years back. We know you killed that woman.
How could such an innocent girl have done such a thing?
Jewelry store robbery? A woman was murdered?
I don't know what he's talking about, honey.
Oh my Oh my God.
Electra, we know you committed that murder, and we're taking you in. And you can't marry this man anyway. So you're better off serving the time you owe and forget this mess.
Oh. I can marry whoever I want. Who are you to tell me I can't marry him? I'm pregnant with his child.
You can't steal away a wife from her husband, nor a father from his child, no matter the iniquities of the woman.
Electra, it's better if you don't know. You shouldn't marry him, and you should give the child up once you have it during your sentence. Now come on, let's go.
Sergeant Terry grabs her arm and begins to pull her away from the table. Electra jerks her way out of his grip.
I'm not going anywhere. And what the hell do you mean I can't marry him? I deserve to know if you really have a reason.
I will not entertain this nonsense. You're going down to the station now.
She deserves to know the reason for the denial of her happiness.
I deserve to know. Tell me, Sergeant.
Electra, we collected DNA samples from the jewelry store crime scene. The blood from the victim and your hair were collected where a genetic match to the woman was your mother.
Oh dear God, I think I'm going to be sick.
My mother?
Yes, she was your mother. We know you were abandoned by your parents as a child and left you to struggle on the street. But we couldn't have known you would ever meet her in one of your robberies, let alone kill her in the altercation. But the woman's name was Joe. Joe Apollo, Eddie Apollo's late wife.
Oh my God. Eddie's my father, Joe is my mother, and I... Oh my God. What have I done? What have I done?
Oh my dear God.
Oh, what a terrible twist of fate. A forbidden love between a father and his daughter, the offspring both a child and a sibling. The stains of her mother's blood wash away her innocence, and her unborn child is a curse waiting in the womb.
Jerks her head toward the chorus.
How was I to know? Fate has manipulated me to kill my and embed my father. I am powerless to her swaying wind.
I'm sorry, you both have to find out this way. Now it's time to go, Electra.
No, you can't take me away. I deserve to be killed myself. I can't waste away in prison knowing what I have done to my parents and the curse I have laid upon my unborn child.
Sergeant Terry hands her off to two officers who take her off stage. He stays behind to console Eddie, who is on his knees grasping the white tablecloth of the table. He pulls the cloth forward and knocks over his wine glass. It runs down the tablecloth.
Eddie, I'm sorry this happened.
I can't believe this. I'm a lover to my own daughter.
He
too has had his neck wrung by the calloused hands of fate.
An officer runs in from stage left.
Sergeant! Electra slit herself open from rib to rib.
What? How and why the hell did she do that? You couldn't stop her?
No, sir. She was hiding the steak knife in her sleeve. As soon as we put her in the back of the car, she screamed. No one but me is able to endure my pain. Then she stabbed herself, sir. She killed herself and the child she was carrying.
The pain of the sister mother killed the unborn child as well.
Eddie cries and screams as he shrinks under the table, pulling the cloth down with him.
Private, get him out of here.
Yes, sir.
He picks up Eddie and leads him off stage right. Sergeant Terry sighs and exits stage left.
Sister mother, daughter lover, a forbidden love twisted into a painful storm of heartbreak and agony. The neglect of the parent bred the crimes of the child, whose suffering led to the destruction of her own sibling offspring. The strings of fate can be coiled and stretched, but never will they snap. And while they string those who are alive, they quickly tie themselves to the beat, and unborn alike. A tragic pattern was woven for young Electra, and fate has no sympathy for those wrapped in her cords.
That sounds
Ooh, this is really good.
Oh, yeah.
I was like,
I like it.
That was
Yeah, thanks, man.
I like this one.
Well, you say you're a poet, so you've done some writing before. What is powerlifter? What a company.
With Aisha. Aisha got a lot of pictures. She don't want to play that with Who's this next?
The Ave Maria one.
Ave Maria.
I
would love to. Okay, I'm confused. What's going to introduce the woman? Because we should have Aisha's thing. Yeah.
I was at the back.
Are we not doing ours no more? Because we still gotta do Phoenicians.
What?
I was like,
I want to be the priest. Can I be the priest?
Can I be Joseph?
I guess.
maybe anybody.
Is there any other character?
It's just the priest and Joseph.
And the chorus.
Oh,
Chorus and then do you need a narrator?
I believe so, yes.
Who's narrating?
I'll do it.
Should we say what his professor?
Did you guys talk about
No,
this?
we didn't talk about
Okay.
it.
Oh, I remember we talked about it on Thursday. Oh, so his is also Oedipus Rex, but instead of the mother child, he did father child. So he was conceived from rape, and it turns out that it was the priest. He raped his mom when she was like younger, and then the priest also raped him when he was a little bit older, like around 14, because that's the age of confirmation.
Yeah.
So this one is pretty much what's going on.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Right.
So the political ties with the priest and everything coming in, so it's really good.
Yeah, he got lit.
Okay. It was a bunch
Begin scene with the chorus in a semicircle and with the priest sitting facing the audience.
Ave Maria, Maiden mild.
Oh, listen to the maiden's prayer, for thou canst hear amid the wild. 'Tis thou canst save amid despair.
Enters the stage, kneels with his back to the audience, slightly off center from the priest.
Father, forgive me, for I have committed murder in my heart.
Is that all, child?
Pauses.
I mean, how am I supposed to feel?
Priest motions as if he's about to say something, but stops himself.
Day after day, month after month, year after year, the anger builds, seeking justice. Yet, I find none.
Slightly sarcastic.
But maybe there's hope, right? Maybe God has a plan for all of this.
Pauses.
Where was his plan when my mother was raped? Where was his plan when I bounced around from home to home? Where was his plan when I...
Priest stiffens, sits a little straighter. Joseph hunches over as he lets out a deep breath.
I never knew my mother. She was 16 when she had me, the oldest of 5. There was no chance her parents could afford to take on another. Plus, who would want to be reminded of the day their life ended every time they look at their child? And my father, well, he could either rot in jail or get out of town. Heard he's a priest now, believe it or not. So off to foster care this bastard went.
Pauses.
Do you know what it's like to have nowhere to call home? No one to call family? To feel like a burden wherever you go?
Soft laugh.
Of course not. You just get to sit there and listen, untouched, unburdened by the sin of this world.
Pauses.
Anyway, by the time I was 10, I thought I had found a home. A couple in their mid-30s. They treated me like their own, beautiful people. The poor woman was barren, so I had a few foster siblings as well. Brothers, sisters, laughing, crying, family. I finally had a family. One big, happy family.
Joseph pauses, hangs head.
When I was 14, they had me go through confirmation. I loved it. I absorbed everything. I would go home unable to hold back from sharing everything I had learned with my parents.
Pauses.
I'll never forget the pride on their faces.
Voice begins to shake.
I only had 1 week left. I had just finished class for the day, at this church, actually. My sponsor usually picked me up, but he couldn't that day. So I sat alone, waiting for my parents.
Priest shifts uncomfortably. Joseph softly and gravely, almost at a whisper.
He came up behind me, like a thief in the night. His eyes were muddled with perversion, and his voice, he could yell at the top of his lungs, and his voice would keep that chillingly soft tone. He was a shell of a man, no God left in him.
Pauses.
He took everything, my life, my love, me.
Priest leans over, hangs his head.
I didn't know what to do. Ashamed, embarrassed, I ran. I couldn't stand to face my family. I felt like I had somehow failed them, so I ran, and I ran, and I ran.
Joseph weeps.
But it's all God's will, right? We all just get to sit back and relax while we suffer because God has a plan, right?
Gradually raises voice into a full shout.
Why don't I get a choice? Why don't I get a say? You had a choice, didn't you? You had a choice when you raped my mother. Was that God's will? You had a choice when you raped me. Was that God's will?
Priest collapses in his hands.
Yes, I know who you are, Father. And soon everyone else will too.
Priest falls on the ground, kneels opposite of Joseph. Chorus close in around and encircle Joseph and the priest.
We slumber safely till the morrow,
though
we
man,
outcast reviled. O maiden, see a maiden's sorrow. O mother, hear a suppliant child. Ave Maria.
So this is a monologue.
Yeah.
Technically. Okay.
Well,
She was a narrator. I remember in 2 parts. You like it?
Technically, it doesn't have any. The priest has like one line. It's almost like
Most of it is blocking for the priest.
Yes. Supposed to blocking impossible.
I guess it's a soliloquy.
The priest is choreographed in some way, but
Who's next?
yeah.
There could be people like
There's a lot.
there could be people dancing to tell the story.
Well, yeah, but like there's also like about Oedipus when we just heard before from him, you know how
Father's last gift.
I read about a few.
Are we done?
yeah, the Beyonce was her dad.
So this is a father's last gift.
What's trauma?
Professor, are we doing their class first and then going back to our class for Aisha?
They're all in there. It's just I'm doing it alphabetically while we're waiting for it. Let's see if it's Aisha's there. July.
Okay. No, I was just asking.
We still haven't gotten to her in the alphabet.
Oh. I can't tell. Are we going by last name, I guess?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. See, I'm so
Okay, so if I remember, did you guys do this one either?
No.
Okay, so I think this one is of the Oedipus at Colonus. So this is the final play of Oedipus. You guys saw the Gospel at Colonus, right, with Professor Morel? So okay, so you already know. So we're good to go on this one. So we just need a eulogist. Annie.
I love it.
Can I be Eddie?
Ted?
Oh, Lord.
Can I be Eddie?
I like what you're
Nick.
doing.
You need a Nick?
I love it. I cannot
Can I be Annie?
today. These kids not like I'm not
Okay.
Annie.
Hold on. Annie and that's it. Annie.
So Eddie and Annie already taken.
And then Nick. And need a Nick.
And then the eulogist.
I don't think he has any speaking role.
I don't think Nick has any. Yeah, I
He
think
do.
No,
Yeah, Nick
no,
has
no,
one.
the eulogist.
He just got one.
at the top. Yeah.
Yeah.
He introduces the scene.
Who's the narrator?
I'll do it again. Oh, you want to do it?
Okay. Okay. Enter scene. A funeral. People are dressed in black and obviously in mourning. The day is bright and starkly contrasts the atmosphere of the event. Two young men sit in the front row. They are once tall and proud, now broken and downcast. A dirge plays. A low, lonely note rings out as men begins to speak.
We gather here today to celebrate the life and to mourn the death of a former pillar of the community, a man who late in his life was turned away and scorned.
The scene fades back out. We are taken to a small apartment wherein two elderly men sit along with an adult woman.
Dad, you really should try to make up with Nick. He is your son, and maybe he really does regret how he treated you and Ted after Mom died. He's not a bad guy deep down. Nick is just stubborn. He still loves you in his own way.
If he is coming to see me, it isn't to get forgiveness or unburned bridges. We both know that if he comes, he just wants to be written back into the will. If he could find it in himself to apologize to me, to apologize to Ted, I might consider it, but he never will. He is too much like his mother.
A knock at the door. Eddie and Ted look up surprised. Annie poorly feigns surprise and rushes to open the door. Nick stands there, his hand still raised. His eyes flick between Eddie and Ted, several motions playing across his face. He enters and sits in an empty chair. The scene fades out and the funeral returns. We see that Annie is seated next to Nick and Ted on her other side. They are both weeping and refusing to meet Nick's gaze. The dirge has faded and is replaced by My Heart Will Go On.
I'll do it. Why does he have to be here?
He says this venomously and glares at Ted.
You haven't seen or spoken to your father in a year and a half. And that's how you greet me? Immediately attacking my husband?
At the word husband, Nick looks like he has been slapped. Surprise and unfortunately, horror flit across his face.
That doesn't matter right now. I want you to put me back in the will. I'm your oldest son and you want to leave everything to Annie and him? It's a disgrace.
Are you serious? You barged into my apartment and demand that I write you back in my will? After how you and your brother treated me? How you treated Ted? You told me that I was a monster, that I was sinful for the crime of loving a man after your mother passed. Instead of apologizing, of making amends, you demand money? I can't believe that I am this disgusted with my own son.
Dad, I need the money. I made some bad choices and need to pay back some people back. I'm your son. How can you just turn me away?
How can I turn you away? I loved your mother and still do in my own way. She always knew that I loved men and women, and she never cared. She would never want me to die lonely, and would have loved Ted if she had gotten to meet him. After I told you about him, you said some things you can never take back. Not that you will actually want to, apparently. You told me that you never wanted to see me again and told our family and friends that I had cheated on her with Ted. Something we both know never happened. You just couldn't accept that I had moved on with the man.
And I never will. If you love Mom like you said you did, how could you love a man? How could you bring that kind of shame on our family? Do you know what they say about us behind our backs now? How could you do that to us, to your sons and daughters?
Again, the scene fades into the funeral. While the man is still speaking, he can barely be heard over the sound of the music. Ted and Annie are still crying, and Nick looks miserable. Wake Me Up When September Ends is heard.
Would you want Dad to ignore who he is, just so you don't have to hear mean words from other angry bigots? You think he doesn't know what people say about him? Do you think he doesn't hear the slurs hurled at him when he goes on a walk with Ted? It's all you can think about yourself?
I don't want to show my face in town.
You realize you really don't understand any of this, do you? After ostracizing your own father, after spreading rumors that he was unfaithful to a woman he loved heartedly. No, he loved heart and soul for 35 years. You still don't get it at all? This isn't about you at all. This is about Dad and how you treated him.
If you need the money so bad, just apologize. Apologize what you did to me and for what you did to Tom. If you can swallow your pride enough to admit that everything you did to us was wrong and that you can change and treat us with respect, I'll write you in the will. You can have my blessing again.
I deserve to be in your will. I shouldn't have to beg just to have what I deserve. I shouldn't have to apologize to him just to get what every other son has.
How are you so stubborn? He isn't asking you to beg, and Dad doesn't want to see you beg. He just wants you to admit that what you did was wrong, and that you aren't just here to try to get money. I didn't ask you to come here for that. I wanted Dad to be able to know that his son still loved him. But literally all you can focus on is your pride and what you get when Dad dies. Can't you see how awful that is? And how awful that makes you?
I think it's time for you to leave, Nick. You'll get nothing. You've made up your mind, and I've made up mine.
The scene ends and fades into the funeral for one final time. This time, Nick is weeping profusely, but still refuses to look at Ted. Going this way is plain. I like it. Oh, the priest one?
Yeah, we got
the ring is so long.
I don't put it in.
Like, what can you put?
It's long.
Yeah.
I don't put it in because there's already a story with it.
What's next?
Yeah.
I'm trying to do facials, but still not.
That's
Still
good. I
hasn't
already
got
got
it.
that
Still
on
hasn't
top.
finished
Bone.
thinking, so.
The priest one.
I think everybody might have that one.
What?
Yeah, I just won't be able to project it. So those of you who have the script,
I think we all
can you
have.
just share it?
What script?
Share it with your
The one that we just
I think we should have all have this one.
Position.
Yeah, I think everybody got this
I
one.
mean,
Yeah,
that's
I
the
think
shit.
everyone got that.
I think everybody has that one.
Almost.
Yeah.
You don't have
I can project the
Oh,
old
I have.
one.
We have.
I
I think we
shared
have
it
it.
recently,
It's
like
her.
today, into your Gmail. I don't know.
Wait,
Huh?
this the old one?
This is a new one.
This the new one?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
I like this one.
Her bag is like,
Yeah, they actually are.
Huh?
How scripts are usually like.
I've never seen this before. Except that they were written like this.
Oh,
He always read every year in school.
For some reason, it's not.
It was
it's not like
the same for yours. I think. Because I was gonna say everybody got yours because they printed it out. So everybody has a copy.
Yeah, he is.
Aisha, you want to go ahead and introduce?
Alright, so this is another one that is with the Bacchae, with Dionysus.
I can share with you.
Yeah, so the main conflict in the play of the Bacchae is Dionysus trying to be recognized as a god by the people of Thebes. And his conflict with the king Pentheus, who doesn't want to recognize him. He's also his cousin. What I kind of tease out of it were the problems of gender that frequently occurred throughout the play. Dionysus himself is often described as androgynous and feminine, but he's still self-identifies as a man. I'm pretty sure textually. And then Pentheus, the king, I would describe him as a misogynist. And initially in the drafting process, I was thinking about writing about Pentheus and his own repression to gender issues. But when I was analyzing the text, I realized that it's more Dionysus who has problems with his own gender or relationship with feminine figures. So this is interaction between Dionysus and his followers, the Bacchae, who are comprised of women. So this is a scene I imagine that happens in the mountains where they praise him, and how he might project his issues that he had with his mother, similarly, onto them. Because he was born, he was kind of ejected from his mother's womb when Zeus, it's a long story, he kind of blew her up, basically.
Do you guys know the story of Sophia?
I've heard it before, I can't remember exactly what she's saying does kind of redrive me.
His mom, right?
Yeah, so similarly, you want to
do it?
Yeah, alright, okay.
Go ahead and tell him.
Let me see. How does it start?
She's a princess of Thebes, and she's a lover of Zeus. And so Juno, so her Hera finds out and gets jealous, right? Comes as a nurse and persuades Semele to ask Zeus to come to her in all his glory, right? It's like the best sex ever, right? It's modernize it.
It's
so
great. It's fine.
Right, and then Semele falls for it, asks, and so gets Zeus, typical lover, to get a wish.
But if you see a god in his full form, it's blinding, you'll explode.
And if you ask, they have to show you. So, I mean, even if he didn't want to, he had to because she asked.
Well, so she got him to promise her a wish on the river Styx. So if you break the river Styx, the god has a temporary death. And so they never break an oath that they promise. The river Styx. Okay. So then what happens is Zeus tries to suppress it. Oh no, I don't want to lose this lover, and then
Does she die?
Yeah, she's incinerated, but she's pregnant.
Doesn't it also kill the mortal side, Dionysus, that becomes a full god?
Yeah, I mean, that's how I interpret it, but I don't think it's textually said. Okay, so when he's born, he's unborn when he's ejected from the room, and so Zeus settles him into his masculine womb, which is his thigh, where he grows, takes him to full term. Here we are. So he has a complicated relationship with mother figures and womanhood. Yeah, that's it. Okay.
You're not dying? Sorry.
I mean, if you Dionysus. Chorus leader, you need chorus leader. 2 characters for chorus. You and me for chorus. And the agave is not in. I don't know why it's
You want to be married?
Yeah. Maybe Tiresias.
I can. I mean,
you got it. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's feeling
It's just the
Tiresias,
first.
you know?
Oh, okay.
You feeling boiled?
You know I am. We don't try to be clever with the gods. Wait, what happened?
We're not done yet.
Within the bowels of Mount Catharon, Dionysus joins his Bacchae in their Bacchic revelry and in celebration of him. Spotlight on Tiresias.
We don't try to be clever with the gods. Our traditions, which are as old as time itself, came from our forefathers. No sophistic arguments will throw them down. No, not from the best brains of all.
Fade on Tiresias.
Oh, and what about our foremothers?
Not a word.
She is silent as similar.
Even Dionysus cast her a silent shadow, and shamed the dear, sweet, angry boy.
Laches.
Yakis.
Yeah.
That was amazing.
Oh, this, I thought that was an L.
Oh, how he stampedes her name like he trampled her womb. He thinks he can make any woman celebrate his name. Ha! We join him because it is more interesting than the womb.
We join him for simile. Am I saying it right?
Simile.
Simile?
Mm-hmm. Like similes and metaphors?
Yeah. Okay.
And he
is so very lost, dear boy.
I have been called wanderer and boyish, but never sweet and dear as a dove. Tell me, is this how mothers love?
The poor boy doesn't know a mother's embrace. Well, it is too bad. Today we are men. Similes, boyish one. We strike bulls and rocks for hide and spring water. What would we today know of lovely one?
And why come to us in this form? Is the spirit of a man all you know, dear child?
Dionysus appears as a woman with a gentle body strength.
There we are. Are we not more at ease this way? If only the men knew that you call upon us to be done.
They would grant me indignities as they grant you the loan.
Know
this.
Know this. I am Iyaka. Simile held on to that God seed, even as her skin charred and cracked, as she screamed her strength all the way to Elysium. You are more her than you'll ever know.
You will continue to deny me the rights to Zeus, though he mothered me.
We would deny you nothing, Iyaka, and we reveal only truths. It is not enough for Zeus to have sewn you into his masculine womb, and it is not only the flesh of Simile that was charred.
What could you mean by this? If you were not my bloodkin, I would have stirred your minds to frenzy, and be freed of your mortal sophistry.
You are indeed our god and goddess, Iacus, but we fear your hardness, where the god fire glance your from skin.
You fear Pentheus? I am not your own as well. If not more so, for being daughterly.
Our warriors lie with Agave. We know you. How do you say? Machinate plans of vengeance upon the families of Camus. Know that if you hurt Pentheus, you hurt his mother's hundredfold.
If our pain is necessary in the repayment of Semele,
Oh, then do what you must, but out of justice, not out of bitterness.
It is not unfair that he, Pentheus, should hate and lust after women, that he should hate the lust that he hates, and still be granted sweetness of his own mother's pardon.
Weren't you as a boy granted
a God's pardon? And now you of God, your mortal self, having been charged with destruction in Simile's feminine womb.
Tread carefully, Bacchus. Tonight I am Simile, but sometimes I am known as Thunder.
Your mortal self has been reborn in the fires then. Is it even agave beyond your justice?
Was Actian beyond Athena's?
Surely tonight
you are no Athena. Yeah.
And you would deny my godhood once more. And it is not enough for you what I am now daughterly. And you would desire justice without bitterness, and Pentheus with mercy, agave without enough. It's enough. I thought as I might be as a fond mother. But I see it will never quite be enough. Let mother separate son from sonhead. Sonhead?
Yeah, keep going.
Sonhead. And mother separate from son, or mother separate from daughter, as she birthed her first son. Let them be separate, torn, as I once was shorn from Semele, who mothered me but once.
I had a question. Did you brought up Actaeon and you chose Athena over Artemis? Did you have were you trying to evoke something there?
No, that was just me recalling the mythics.
Oh, nothing. Okay. No, we were just making sure someone was okay.
Oh.
I think so.
I hope so.
I'm like 50% positive.
That's 50%.
50%.
That's for sure. Okay.
We're sorry. I'm sorry, Tina.
Okay, so do we
text her?
just write down whatever comments?
Text her.
And then we'll go.
Oh yeah, we're getting the packet pretty fast.
We are. It's making progress. Do you guys need a break? Are you guys good? We'll stand up, sit down.
I need to do some little
Yeah. So you guys take a 5-minute
stretches.
10-minute break?
Yes, please. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm leaving at 5.
Yeah.
Oh.
Let's not take too long for
Man.
You know.
Ooh. Oh, is it still
Although I have a feeling it's still on, yeah, because I don't want to mess with it. And Professor Morel is not back until.
They're getting everything.
Even our
all the good stuff. Even our breathing. Is that what you said?
That is part of it.
Oh yeah, I didn't care. That's funny. Oh, look at you. I liked it.
Demoralized.
Oh yeah.
I think it's brilliant, actually.
Oh,
I really do.
Oh, thank you.
All of this have been wonderful.
Haven't they been? I think they're really good.
They have been good.
But I love the probing of the Dionysus and sort of like a turn.
They have been good. I like them. I can't pick them out of. I like them. That way till you get mine, it's just gonna go downhill from there. I mean, it's not bad. It's just so damn. I mean, it's just so short. That's all right. I don't care.
That's fine. High schoolers. I'm like, What is a high schooler again? Is that like elementary? It's
You
not.
said what?
I'm like, what is a high schooler again? I'm trying to like make sense of where they're at.
Yeah, I keep forgetting that too.
I'm like, this middle
like,
school.
right.
And might as well.
Yeah.
And I like to read cursive. I used to love coming
I
across
did too. I was
cursive.
like,
I used to be
ooh, I have an
reading.
excuse.
Boy.
Wait, what is this?
I used to
loud and
scan.
proud.
I used to scan the book for class, and then on the page that I knew how to cursive, I raised my hand like, "Oh yeah, I want down." Yep, that was me.
I love it.
That was me.
Oh, I'm like hot
I
and
think
cold at the
Professor
same time.
Morel might have took her. Cause I think she said her head hurt.
Oh.
But I don't know. I texted her. She didn't text me back. So I'm a little
She's
concerned.
down there napping.
Okay.
See, what
her
did I
head,
say?
Oh my
I
God.
knew it.
Her head hurts though.
She's okay.
I
She's
think her
fine.
head hurts.
She's just
Oh.
Cause she didn't even.
tired.
She didn't eat.
We are all tired.
Oh.
Cause she nothing like she tried different stuff, but nothing was look good.
She also didn't get coffee.
Yeah, that's true.
You want some of mine?
No,
Oh, you have the
she-
same
I
thing
had
as
the
me.
same
Okay.
What did y'all
She
get?
didn't
I
Espresso
got,
shot?
no, I got chai latte.
Oh, I should have got espresso shot.
I would have,
I need
but the
that.
fact that I'm literally running on fumes,
Oh.
I would have been like freaking out in here, like doing some stuff. So,
What are y'all doing tonight? Nothing.
getting into stuff. What are
We
your
gonna try to get
suggestions?
into
I
stuff.
always have a good suggestion. Where y'all staying?
Overton Square.
Yep.
Overton
Oh, Memphis
Square.
Pizza Cafe.
Memphis Pizza
That's
Cafe.
fine. Wait, like where in Overton Square?
So if we literally walk 3 blocks, we literally on the street.
Oh, you're on the street of Overton Square. Oh no.
If we walk like 3 blocks, so Overton Gardens, I think that's what it's called.
Overton Park?
I don't know
Overton
either.
Gardens?
I have no idea.
Okay.
I just get there.
It's a sign, but I can't remember exactly what the sign says right
Okay. Well, there's plenty to do.
Oh.
Are y'all
Yes.
looking for like nightlife stuff?
Yes.
Is
You know
anybody
it.
21?
Most
Yes.
definitely.
All right, you should go to Silky's and get their bucket.
Silky
Monday?
and they bucket.
On a
Oh,
Monday.
Monday.
Every day is a
It's
fun
not
day.
Remember that one. You
that
need to
you're
write
in
that
Memphis
down.
to
Every
party.
day
We wanna
is
get
a
that bucket.
fun
Sometimes
Leave.
for
Wednesday.
me.
Oh yeah.
you
We're
gotta
going to
party
get that
while you
bucket,
got the
girl.
chance.
We're
Y'all
going to
here
get
on
that bucket.
Saturday. That would have been the suggestion I made.
Wait, what is it
Yeah,
called?
Silky O'Sullivan's.
Silky.
It's on Beale
Professor Morel
Street.
told us a lie. He said that y'all was gonna take us out one day.
And if you're on Beale and you want food, either Blue City Cafe or BB King's place.
Yes.
Incredible.
Yes, yes.
And the BB King's usually has live music like every night.
Yeah.
I think I need to get
So yeah, those are some options.
Yeah, when I was in Louisiana, I would go
That
there.
was really good.
Yeah, it was amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I think you can get the
Well, right now
goldfish.
it's
Every
staying.
time
I think you can get the
Lafayette
goldfish right
has
about now.
live music
You think I
every
should get the
night.
goldfish?
Yes.
So I would go there tonight.
I'm just gonna take 2 of these. I'm gonna
There's a really
I do, but I
fun.
don't
Actually,
know.
there's a really
Y'all
fun
like
trivia
them?
night
It's
tonight
good.
at Slider.
Ooh. It's just like a Snickers with no peanuts.
It's like you could walk there.
Okay.
Tastes weird.
Slider Inn has really great food. It's a lot of fun. They have
Probably
like,
it's real hard.
slushy mixtures. And across that they have Hattie B's hot chicken, which is awesome.
Oh yeah, Hattie B's is the best.
I would make a stop.
I go there like weekly.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like y'all are in a good spot.
No,
You just like
you're-
walk up
Back
and down
up
to
to
Cooper.
Okay,
and
so
like
I'm
down
sorry.
here where we are in Cooper Young.
Oh
there's
yeah,
all
Cooper Young
bars.
is the place to be too.
Yeah.
Mulan's
Okay.
and Cafe Olay.
Yeah.
Wait, today's Monday?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So
The
where are the
half price
slushies
margs at
located?
Cafe
So you
Olay.
want to go to Slider Inn?
Slider.
You heard that?
Jameson slushy.
They got half price margaritas
What?
at some place.
Cafe Olay after.
Yeah.
Cafe
or-
LA.
I
That's
can't
what
remember
we
what
gonna be.
time it is, but yeah, half price marks on Monday.
Yeah, and Alchemy up here
Are you
has
sorry,
half
Pam?
price everything till 6. So it's the best happy hour in the city. You can't go wrong with anything within like 3 blocks.
Okay.
Are they
Yeah,
crowded?
we are in a good spot here.
I like that.
Right in Midtown.
No, no, he'll be fine.
Okay.
Can I take?
But Central Barbecue is definitely the spot. Up here.
Yeah, that's.
I'm gonna
place is
try
crazy.
it.
Chocolate? I was close.
Almost.
It was right there.
It's okay.
Oh, I was telling her about how earlier you was asking us about
Also the
how
way-
we're getting.
Can
You
you
don't
guys
know,
be one?
but she's in fine art,
I
so
think
she
that was
knows
the last
all of
one.
that.
Ah.
Quran, yeah.
Oh.
Yes.
Yeah, I was asking about how it dance. How's that? Like,
Okay. So you mean in terms of the audition, in terms of the program?
Auditioning program.
Audition, they want one contemporary piece, one African piece, I believe. And then they teach you a choreographed routine. You duplicate. Also depends on what track you're trying to do. So some people are going there to learn how to choreograph. So there's a composition class. So sometimes they want to see like sample pieces that you've done originally. So like the dance auditions, they don't have to be original pieces that you've done. They could be routines that you've learned. But if you're trying to do composition, they want to see original works from you and understand like your movement style.
So courtesy of Professor Morel, he gave us a stash of stacks.
Oh, no.
Is that okay?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
I thought you were going to say chocolate and I got really hyped.
Do you
You said
know
goldfish and it's fine.
how many people the dance department takes in every year? Like is it set or is it?
Say that again, I'm sorry.
Like how many first years does the dance department?
It varies. So there's not really a set number. I will say though that we try to keep it very small. So typically the class size is at the most 12 to 1.
Oh,
yeah.
Oh, you have those Ziploc bags, Professor Stark.
Should I pour it?
Look, Professor, those Ziploc
Like,
bags.
does your ACT score matter?
Say again?
Does your ACT score
The
matter?
Ziploc
To
bags.
get in, sure. In the grand scheme of things, no.
They were in the bag.
Dude.
Yeah, but
So in terms of to get in the college itself, to get in the university itself, yes.
Or maybe
for the
get a
program
napkin.
itself,
Do you want me to get you a paper towel? I'll
Do you,
get
like,
I'll
with
get a
the
paper
arts
towel.
programs, like
Can you
theater
get some
dance?
a number of them?
Do you have
yeah.
to be,
I've
I've
been staring at
apply
you
to
for the
school
past
first?
30 seconds.
So you have to get into the
Try,
school
yeah.
first in order to. So you can still audition before you get into the school. So it's not like you have to do one before the other. However, if you don't get into the school, you can't get into the program.
So you're auditioning
So-
Yeah,
Right. So let's say, for example, you're still waiting on the application process. You haven't heard back, but the auditions are in January, let's say, and you're trying to audition before, like, regardless of what happens, you just want to get the audition process done. You can do that. But they'll tell you that your acceptance is contingent upon you getting into the university first.
Like, does it matter like your level of experience?
Yeah, thank you.
Like, do you
No,
have
I mean it's a place for growth, and they just want to know how teachable you are.
No, that's
It's
okay.
not about what you're coming in with already. They just want to know how much you can pick up, how quickly you can pick up, and just see where you are.
You just pour the whole bag.
some one of them might
Yep. In terms of the curriculum, you have African for a year, tap for a year, jazz for a year.
just one class?
Say again?
The whole year? Just one class?
No, it's different. I'm saying it's just a year of
Like each
jazz.
semester,
Two
you have to
semesters.
take a
But it
jazz
doesn't
class.
right. But it doesn't mean that the jazz class happens
No.
separately than the African. I'm just saying you have a full year of African, a full year of jazz, a full year of tap, and sometimes they might happen together. Sometimes they might happen separately from one another.
No,
It just depends on where they fall in the curriculum.
Like, is
But when you
ballet?
graduate, you'll have a full year study of each of those.
Is ballet one of their main things?
Dance fundamentals are, which
Thank
has
you.
ballet elements, but it's not specifically ballet. So you're not gonna learn point, if that's your question. You're not gonna do point work.
I feel like I saw a piece from Howard where it was all point work. So like
But they didn't. So if you come in with point work and you want to hyper focus on point, sure. But it's not part of the curriculum.
Okay.
So it's not part of the program.
So y'all don't have like point classes or like partnering
Not
classes?
not in the university. I mean, that could change. We're getting new dance teachers, so that's a possibility of it changing. But at the moment, no.
Okay, so it's more African hip hop based.
Yes.
Oh.
Very, very modern based. Super, super modern. They're trying to get you booked. And honestly, for a lot of shows, especially a lot of shows with a large African American cast, you're going to do a lot of tap, you're going to do a lot of jazz. And so they try to, even though they give you other genres of dance, of course, they try to focus on getting you to an audition and getting you strong in those areas. And then giving you resources if you need it outside of that, should you want to focus on other things.
And the scholarships, do y'all give like department specific scholarships or is it more?
There is a department scholarship that's done every year. The application's in January, but it is for existing students. So it is once you get into the program, you can apply after your first semester freshman year. but you cannot. It's not beforehand in terms of a departmental scholarship. Now there are school scholarships that are available. I don't know all of them, but those are ones that you can get prior to. Yeah.
Any for dance?
Specifically for dance, none as far as I know. It's just the fine arts scholarship. So you're up against anyone in fine arts.
Right.
And you also got to contend with co-op students too.
Yes.
But it might change for y'all because now fine arts just became their own school again.
Yeah, so it's going to transition into its own school fall of this year, which means that any funding that is given to fine arts will stay in fine arts, which also means that there's a larger likelihood or greater likelihood of in departmental scholarships, so which is really good. It's a lot of benefits all around.
Yeah.
So will we have to apply to the fine arts school too?
So yes, so the audition in and of itself is your application into fine arts. But if you get accepted, you have to get accepted to the university in order to be able to come. So they're always going to tell you, even if you decide to audition first before you apply to Howard, if you get accepted, it's still contingent upon did you get into the university. So long story short, grades still matter, scores still matter, technically.
Like does your ACT score matter more than like your grades you got in high school? Cause I'm terrible at the ACT, but my grades are like.
It just
I wouldn't say more. It's because they're both observed.
Yeah, but they'll look at your GPA definitely.
Yeah, GPAs. Yeah, I would say probably GPAs more heavily. Let's be honest.
Scores.
Yeah.
Cause I'm not a very good test taker.
Yeah, and I mean,
most people are.
Yeah, I think colleges understand that, so that's why they look more at your GPA than your.
I mean, I was always a good test taker, but my SAT score was terrible. But yeah, I mean, it's fine.
Yeah. Also, there's an interview process that's really nice in fine arts, so they get to know you as a person. So if you want to tell them, I'm not saying to give them a sob story, saying America's Next Top Model, but like if you wanted to give a little bit of a history of yourself. Tell them a little bit more about you as a person and how you got to this place, and if there's anything in your record that you want to explain a little bit, you have that opportunity to do that. So that's kind of a little different thing that we do in terms of the application process in fine arts. They get to kind of know you as a performer and you as a person.
Yeah, I like it.
Okay, so overall, how long did it take for them to accept you?
For you knowing that you're accepted is pretty quick actually. So auditions and callbacks are same day, because they ain't got time for that. Auditions and callbacks are same day. Finding out whether you get into a program usually happens within 2 weeks after. Let me be honest, it also depends on whoever the coordinator is in that year. So some coordinators are a bit more on it than others. But my experience and other people's experience that have come after me has been within 2 weeks. And you'll get an email stating that.
And you can still be going to Howard and still waiting on your decision from fine arts. You could just be undeclared.
And you can audition again. So let's say you don't get in. The first audition you have in January doesn't work. There's an audition in February and March. If you want to come back again and audition again those other 2 times, feel free to do so. You can. You're not restricted from that. So, especially if you do the first audition and you kind of know how it goes and you get a bit more comfortable, your second audition might be your strongest audition and it might be the one to get you in. Yeah. So just never stop trying.
Right.
That's the one thing you're gonna learn. You gonna fight.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
You gonna
every day.
To get what you need to get, you will fight for it.
You will.
Does any of y'all know about the physics program at Howard? Cause I wanna do physics.
It's not my world. I live in fine arts.
I know the physics people pretty well. They're really nice. They're really great.
Like, is it really difficult to do physics and dance?
Okay, so I can answer that. Especially your first year, do not do that. Don't pledge. Don't walk the quad. Don't do nothing but dance. I promise you. I'm not even trying to be funny. Don't do it to yourself. That's torture. As a freshman, don't ever do that to yourself.
So I can do the major my junior year or something like that.
If you, what I would say is get a handle on the program first. Understand what your workload would look like first. Take that freshman year to just understand it. Then once you get that sophomore year, they might discourage you from doing things outside, but people have done it.
Yeah.
you can do a double major if you want to. I would just say that first year, just focus on understanding how Howard does their dance program, what's going to be required of you, and then you can plan accordingly. But people have done double majors. People have done that and pledged. People have done that and pledged and run for office. Now, I don't know that life. That's crazy for me. But it's doable is what I'm saying. Should you want to do it, it's not impossible.
Yeah, so you want dance and physics to both be your majors.
Mm-hmm. I mean, God bless you. I usually hear like dance and English or dance and
something more liberal.
Like, but I'm taking the AP.
I just recently saw the senior dance majors project where they choreographed their own dancing. So it was really cool. But one of the girls, she was a dance minor and she majored in biology.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a thing.
It's an option too.
Oh yeah, the
Did you
minor.
want to do that?
Like a minor.
You can always email me and I'll put you in touch with physics.
But what if you what if I take AP Physics and I'm taking AP Physics next year, my 12th grade year, and like will that credit go?
4 or 5. 4 or 5. Howard take 4s or 5s.
What do you mean?
For
There's
AP,
4.
for your AP test, it gotta be a 4 or 5 for them to transfer that credit over.
So anything less won't be accepted.
Yeah.
Or in some cases, you can probably argue it as an elective, but it's not going to be like a main course.
Yeah.
Right now, I take dual classes, so I'm enrolled in the U of M too. Would I be able to transfer
your dual credit? Howard accept most dual credit. Is the one that you take your dual credit? Is it a accredited school?
Yeah.
So they'll more than likely take your dual credit as long as it comes from an accredited college. They'll take it.
What are you trying to major in?
Musical theater.
Okay, I'm musical theater. So anything inside the fine arts department, if you're doing any sort of study outside, they're either going to be counted as electives or not at all. You're going to have to retake them. So general ed credits will transfer. Anything that goes toward the university will transfer. But within the department, any acting classes you've taken, any dance classes you've taken, those will be considered elective credits. They will not be considered towards your main. They want you to take the department acting courses, the department dance courses.
That makes sense.
Yeah. So just so you're aware of that. It's not that they don't count. They'll count like senior year, which is great because you'll have a lot more time to do other stuff like work. At me. But like outside of that, like freshman, sophomore, you're not going to see the benefit of it much.
I have a big question. When you take, you know how in school you have to take English 4 years? Do you have to do that in college? So if I take English my freshman year in college, I don't have to take
So it works by semester. So you'll take English your first semester, freshman year, your second semester, and then you gotta do a third year course too. So like I'm in my second semester of sophomore year and I've had to take 3 Englishes. But I have to take them back to back because I didn't take English last semester. But I'm taking English this semester. And it doesn't have to be an English class. It can be like a 700 level class, which is
this class.
Which is this class or a writing
class.
class. Or I'm in Portuguese, so I can take a Portuguese film class and that would count as my third year writing.
Okay.
Or third year English.
That is not like high school.
Yeah.
That's something you might have to think about.
College is pretty great.
Yeah.
College has requirements or not. Yeah, what you should think about whether you want to attend a college that has requirements for classes or like this.
Love to do a
It's Howard, you have requirements, but that's not the case with all universities.
Yeah, I'm going to go to a school that don't have to.
Also, just side note, whatever the university tells you about fine arts, speak to fine arts.
Yeah.
So any advice the university gives you might not necessarily be accurate about how fine arts is run. Honestly, we've been our own entity for a while, but we just are we're going back to becoming a school. So like a lot of the things that Howard thinks we do is not what we do.
Yeah.
So talk to people in fine arts to get accurate information. Yeah, including students. People like myself would be happy to help you. Miss Janet will be your go-to. She's our admin. She knows everything about everything. So when you call fine arts, she's the first person to answer. She's the only person that typically answers. And any questions you have, you'll be rerouted to her.
Okay.
Yeah. That is all.
Thank you. All right. Well, shall we move on to the next one? So this is Oedipus Tyrannus.
Can I be Oedipus?
Absolutely. We need Jocasta and messenger.
Can I be pasta?
Can I be a messenger?
Yeah.
I'll be
Servant.
Wait, did someone already say Joe Pastor?
Yeah.
You want to play? No, you can do it. It's fine.
No, it's okay.
I'll be chorus. Did we get everybody? Did we get the servant?
Oh, put it down.
Messenger.
If you want to, you can do it.
I'm just trying to get you one.
Do you want to?
No, I definitely understand.
Bit.
Oh my God, Bobby.
Yeah.
How do you say
Tiresias. Creon.
Tiresias Creon.
We good?
I call him Crayon because he's mean.
Not crayon.
Crayons are nice.
He is mean.
But it's disrespectful to him, so I call him Crayon.
Okay. What makes you so angry, my king?
Tiresias and Crayon.
How do you say it?
Creon.
Creon.
Think of Cretan. That's another way of thinking.
Creon commended me of being cursed by the prophecies that I will kill my father and sleep with my mother. How ignorant they are. How dare they commend their king? Do you believe in the prophecies, my queen?
Creon is untrustworthy, but Tiresias, an honorable man, shouldn't say those words without a careful mind. A prophecy may be half true, half false. As a curse on Laius, my former king, goes, that he will be killed by his son. Think about it, my king. How could it be possible? His son was dead when he was just 3, not until now that King Laius passed away. And the servants said a poisonous snake caused his death. When he went out hunting for the snake blood in the West Forest, beneficial for his health, a remedy for aging, he loves hunting for snake blood. In the end, he cannot fight against the gods' will. Now you see even a message from the gods can be false. Tiresias, however knowledgeable he is still a normal man.
My queen, you just reminded me of my old friend. It was a snake that I raised in Corinth and grew up with. It was in the West Forest I lost him and never find him again. But one thing for sure, he was not a poisonous snake. Small snakes like him cannot poison any danger to Laius.
A messenger enters, asks to meet the king. Jocasta returns to the backstage.
My king, I've come from Corinth as an order from Creon, your brother-in-law. I've been waiting for so long to tell you the truth. Now that Polybus, the king of Corinth, passed away, I will reveal your true identity. That you are not the son of Polybus and his wife, Polybus and his wife, Merope. You are an orphan, adopted by them. Your real father and mother, however, are unknown to me. Why are you so certain? Why should I trust you?
Bruh.
Because I'm the one who received you from the hand of a man who looks like a servant in the middle of the West Forest.
Oedipus starts panicking as he makes the various possibilities in his head. Creon comes in.
I also have something to remind you, my king. King Laius and the queen bore their son in the West Forest. If he still lives till now, he will be your age.
Jocasta runs to the king from the backstage.
What do you want to say, Creon? Laius' death has nothing to do with his son. Remember, the observer said he was poisoned by a snake. It must be a wild snake no one can raise.
Jocasta takes Oedipus to the backstage. Jocasta talks to a servant.
You are the servant in Creon's house?
Yes, my queen. What can I do for you?
I lost a blue potion inside the house, important to me and to your king. Give it to me immediately when you find it, but let's keep it a secret between us, or I will not forgive you otherwise.
Jocasta left the stage. Creon comes in.
What are you doing in my room, you servant? Did I not allow everyone to enter my room?
How dare I not listen to you? The queen told me to search for a blue potion, important for her and for the king. I cannot disobey as she threatens me.
No worries. I will give you a redemption. If you place that potion inside the queen's room, give her what she wants, but don't let her know, as I want to surprise her.
Creon goes to the king's hall.
Creon, my brother, I'm waiting for you.
Why do you know that I'm looking for you?
I'm about to invite you to a party. It has been a long time. We haven't had a family dinner.
My pleasure, my king. But I want to tell you something too.
No, hurry, Korean. Let's wait until the dinner party.
Everyone gathers at the dinner party.
Hail to King
Laius.
With all our respect and honor, in front of all of you, 1 cup of snake blood and 1 cup of wine. King Laius grant us his favorite drink, showing him your honor and gratification, leaving no drop of wine or blood left.
Creon looks around, talks to Oedipus.
Seize a moment, my king. Snake blood is the enemy of age. Wine is our divine drink. While they are both descent tonics, together may form a deadly poison. Who knows better than Jocasta, the queen, the queen, who is keeping the secret potion inside her room? Let's get her test. The wine and blood.
Jocasta drinks her cups.
See with your own eyes, Creon. Any suspicions about the wine and blood still?
Everyone drinks, including Creon, but only Creon coughs out blood.
Why are you doing this to me? I gave you all my faithfulness, my loyalty. You killed the wrong person. It is your dear wife who has the potion and poisoned the former king.
The servants told me all. Only Jocasta and you know about the potion in this city. Even I am ignorant of it, and blind for not knowing that the killer of the king, the right beside me.
You are even ignorant of your own sin. It is me who gave him the potion, but it is your snake whose blood causes death. Your curse is true, as I told you. You killed your father and slept with your mother, and you will be condemned to death. Now let me finish your curse sooner.
Creon throws a sword toward Oedipus, but Jocasta pushes Oedipus away and the sword hits her from the back.
As a mother and as a wife, I will always protect you until my last breath. Forgive me for not telling you the truth myself.
The curse passed generation after generation. Why fate is so brutal for Oedipus, who is an innocent man looking for a happy life, but got stuck in a curse, in a dark scheme of others, those who want to rise to the top. Nothing can hinder their evil greed. Look at Laius and Oedipus.
What supreme power brought them?
Only death, pains, and sorrows. Sitting at the top, blind what happens underneath. Jocasta, a sharp-minded woman, lightened the king's mind while he was blinded by the horror of the prophecies. Poor Jocasta, poor Oedipus, God gives them a tragic fate.
Professor Stock, who is this week? Oh, okay.
It's
nice baby.
Just the outline and the
Oh, when?
It's like 4.
I never knew how to say
4?
it.
No, this is.
NG.
It's when.
When?
When?
When? Okay.
No?
You see that?
Or at least that's on my
We haven't
face.
read
We're not going to get
No, I didn't know.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's spelled like my dentist. That's right here now. When?
We ain't got the yellow.
So we've got 1, 2, 3.
You got all these.
No, we've done. We've got 4 more to do.
Yeah, we definitely have 4.
Yeah.
Okay, so wait. Do you want yours?
It's fine.
Let's do it.
Why are you so happy?
Because you kept saying you don't want to do it.
I
So she was
don't
like,
want to
yeah,
do it.
yo.
All right. So it's a little short, but so it's loosely based on Oedipus. I mean, not the exact story. I used the faith element of it, and pretty much I brought in parts of like voodoo, because I'm originally from Louisiana, so. The town where I'm from, like people, they practice voodoo, so I definitely wanted to like bring that into it. So there's a girl, her name Lola, that's the character name. Long ago, you know, she was in college and whatever, and she killed a lady's child, and it turns out that the lady was a voodoo witch, so she kind of put a curse on her that she would kill her firstborn child. But the thing is, Lola doesn't have any kids, but to get money in college she like donated eggs, and so like that like sets the stage for what's gonna happen.
That's a twist.
Also makes perfect sense.
Yeah. So the characters are, we need a announcer, somebody to play Lola, somebody to play the attendant, somebody to play Reggie, someone to play Darla, and somebody to play the old lady.
I could be the old lady.
Who?
Can I be the lieutenant?
No, attendant.
I want to be the old lady.
Can I be Dennis?
Old lady Lola.
Dennis.
Oh, you want
Who?
This is not the outline, is it?
No.
What is it?
It's just, it got my name on top. It's just one page.
It starts that many people don't believe in voodoo.
Yeah.
Peyton.
Yep.
You're reading that, right?
I'll read it. Well, I kind of just told y'all, so I don't really have to read that. So we got all the parts covered. So announcer, somebody the announcer. Okay, they only got like one thing, and then Lola, the attendant, Reggie, Darla, and the old lady. I think we good. All right, we can start.
Paging Dr. Ryan to the OR.
Oh, Lola heads to the OR.
What's the assessment?
15-year-old male, car accident, head trauma, and it seems he may have internal bleeding.
Let's get him prepped for surgery.
During surgery, something goes wrong. No one is sure why.
I'll let his parents know. Prepare him for downstairs so they can view the body.
Waiting room.
Are you guys Mason's parents?
Reggie.
Yes.
I'm sorry, but during surgery something went wrong, and unfortunately we lost Mason. Darla?
What went wrong? How could something like this happen?
The internal damages were more than we could assess.
Can we see him?
Of course, I'll have one of the nurses take you. Oh, excuse, ma'am, do you need something?
Wow. After all these years, what a successful doctor you've become. I wouldn't have never thought you'd make it to this point.
Have we met?
Yes, darling, long ago. You see, you were an arrogant, spoiled girl. Your daddy always made sure his money could get you out of anything. When you killed my son in the car accident long ago, you had no regards because you knew your daddy was saved today.
Well, ma'am, that was a long time ago, and I'm sure I paid for what I did.
You paid already? With words from my lips? Otherwise, you would have gotten away with killing my son. How does it feel to kill your child you never knew?
That makes no sense. I don't have kids, and that boy had loving parents. Do you kill a child just to see me?
Oh, my dear. Have we forgotten about our college years where it was cool, when it was a cool thing to donate your eggs because your friend did? Well, let me give you a refresher. That boy was made from your egg. You took my firstborn, so I took your firstborn.
You're an old witch. You'll rot for what you did. That's nice.
It really is. I'm thinking of the ability for the final. I think, I don't know. I don't want to write something else. Two more. Oh no, three more.
Which one? So this one is Sanji.
Ramiz.
Yeah.
I think Ramiz did Janaya as well. I thought he did.
Yeah, I think that's right. He has Janaya background, and this is to be Ramiz. So.
Yeah.
I think that's.
You might as well play yourself.
So we need a stately one. Okay, John, Henry.
Can I be John?
Henry will be Henry.
Yeah. That sounds good. Farmers. an eldest farmer. I think the farmers may be the chorus, so if we can all join in there. And then you just need an elder, so like a chorus leader, an elder farmer. I'll do it. A narrator?
I'll narrate it. All right, scene. A forest like those of the colonial Northeast, while the time setting is in late March. The scenery should convey February, an unseasonably poor weather. Leafless trees, lifeless ground patched with snow, heavy gray winter clothes for the characters. The stage center is an extinguished campfire at what might be a village center. The scene looks as if it could accommodate dozens of people, but only a few are present. The stage right is path leading back and off into the wilderness. Behind the town center to the stage right is a church-looking civic building. From here, two stately men come out. They walk towards the town center, which has 4 farmers who should be working their fields, mumbling as they try in vain to light the fire. How was your journey over, John?
All right. Henry, my wife, and I, how do you say it? Fared quite well. But our daughter came down with some sort of cold during the trip. Ellen is doing better now, though if this winter doesn't snap, I fear she might fall ill again, poor thing.
For her sake and ours, I hope it clears soon. We were just finishing our winter stores when your ship arrived, and even the food you brought has neared its end. Even the field workers are losing their usual good nature. See, they sit shivering when they ought to be reaping.
Are they usually a rowdy group?
No, at least not rowdy in the rough, uncivilized kind of way. Usually they are eager and good-natured, always assenting during my services and such. Now, though they worry about their livelihoods and come to worship, concerned more about their bellies than their souls.
The men have progressed to the group of farmers huddled around the dead fire pit.
Say Reverend
Henry, who is this gentleman that walks into you?
He was sad enough to be here, but too full on the cheeks to have been.
God bless you, sir. This is John Carter. He's recently arrived from England and is serving as a judge in the new court.
From England. Do you come with any supplies? Food, fur, wool? Lord knows we need it. It's been such a rough winter and doesn't look
like it's stopping anytime soon.
Oh, I've heard it has been miserable. But God willing, spring will be upon us soon.
Yes,
Oh, I wish for better, but only wishing it would be. We've been here 6 years, and every spring, blah happens? Okay. This year. The birds
stay south.
The deer breathe slowly.
The bears still sleep.
Even the meadows have disappeared.
As if the land itself repels them, they run from these woods, as if we're living here for what? Still trying to light the fire, the farmers become distracted by apparent success. As they focus on the natal fire, Henry and John turn and walk to the civic building. As they arrive in front, a wind blows and extinguishes the fire to the farmers' dismay. As their disappointment fades, the dialogue resumes in front of the civic building.
It's true. This season has been exceptionally bitter, and it doesn't show any signs of improving.
Change. I always thought that a state as pure as ours could never fall out of God's favor.
Out of favor? Don't sound so silly. What have we done?
Perhaps the choir was off key and...
Whatever the case, institutions as strong as our church and courts will recover as soon enough. Yeah.
Yes. You search in the churchman's soul for a source of empathy, impiety, and shall review his actions in the court.
Oh, okay. Help our city we will if we can. But now I must be off to prepare for the evening service. See you there?
Yes, of course. I will be in my office.
Henry goes off stage by walking down the side of the civic building. As he goes out, John waits outside the door to the courthouse. we see 4 young girls, our witches to be, make their way from behind center stage across to the stage right, where they make their way to a small circle in front of the stage. The lights illuminate this circle only briefly and then cut off, leaving only the stage lit. As the girls move, we are able to identify them, but they have a brief interaction with the farmers who still have not lit the fire. As a result, the fire comes on. After watching, John moves into the building, and we see him reading at his desk through his window. As we listen, the lights narrow, focusing on the window and then the area in front of the stage.
Oh, April 22nd, 1588, England. An account of trial that set us free.
The winter of 87 had been
incredibly fierce, so fierce that come April, the birds still had not returned, as if repulsed by a well of cold.
Our town had secured its disease.
The winter stores had run out weeks ago, and without spring, none of our crops would flower. We were desperate, looking for a way to cure our cold. One evening on a hunting expedition, all the livestock had perished. We realized the cause for our blight. In the wilderness, we saw some young women unknown to us performing satanic rituals. The girls in the front of the stage danced and chant. At first, we tried confining these strangers, but our condition improved not. Eventually, we realized the only cure was to offer the traitors as a sacrifice.
Dramatic lighting cut. Lights back on. Some action continues, but the little time seems to have passed. Messenger knocks on door. John gets up from desk and answers.
How's everything going? Good, good. What brings you?
It's something I've noticed.
Well, out with it.
Your daughter?
Ellen?
Yes, I've noticed she's been spending a lot of time outside in the woods lately with her friends. I didn't want to say anything at first, but lately Reverend Henry was talking about how God wants us to keep the straight and narrow path so that we might not fall upon tragedy. I was just concerned, that's all.
Oh, I appreciate your intentions. Thanks.
As the messenger exits, the farmers at the now burning fire are talking with 3 of the witches.
Where are you coming
from? We just saw you go off.
What
did you go out there to do?
It's been so miserable here lately. We had gone out to try and make it better. Remember how we had the power to help you with the fire?
Dark magic that was. What horrible things you must have done in the woods.
Henry approaches.
Reverend, these girls are the cause of our blight. They have a dark power about them. See the fire roars as they come near.
Seize them. We must cure ourselves.
Say, wasn't there another one of you?
I saw 4 of you earlier.
Silence.
We must cure ourselves.
The last girl was someone we had never seen before. She must have been some alien woman who has corrupted our youth and land. We must find her to end this.
Henry leads the farmers to escort the girls into the courthouse where they see John. After hearing what has happened, he realizes that his daughter is the unknown woman. The rest of the play revolves around the struggle John has in revealing his daughter's role in these dark magics.
No, when it says stuff I don't like but don't want to throw away, I was like, at me.
Is this yours?
What was that called? Who's on it?
I don't know.
No, we got 2 more.
This is mine. I'm
We
just
got
gonna take this.
What happened?
Yeah, we are out of time.
Yeah,
I have to go, but
I think
if
y'all have
if it's a consensus that you want to leave.
Yes, 5 o'clock.
Oh.
I've
So
got a
we're-
meeting to get to, so
5:01.
I'll see y'all.
Okay.
Yeah, see you later.
So we have 2 plays left. Elijah, yours is long though, right? I mean, so how long did you do a read through of it? Or I say long, I mean for scenes. I mean,
Yeah.
so.
It is. It's kind of extensive. Let me see. I did do a read through of it.
How long? Bye. Thanks for coming.
What about people's
See you
top
tomorrow.
6?
Sorry?
What about the top 6 that people have chosen?
so far, and then we continue the read through tomorrow of these two.
Or we can read them.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, can you guys stay, or I don't want to keep you past the time, either.
I don't know if my mom's here.
My dad's not here yet.
I'm not sure if my mom's
Have not gotten the
Yeah.
text, so yeah.
I mean, I think are they gonna be here tomorrow?
Or maybe could they
'Cause
take it and read it and
Yeah.
see?
And then write their comments, and then tomorrow that'll make
Tomorrow
it
we'll
really,
start
it'll move
tomorrow.
really fast, and then we just pick the top 6 and boom.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so let's just figure out.
Because they have the plays, so
And we only have because we only have the 2 left. I think it's doable.
Okay, you have your
yeah.
top
For
six.
them.
So we picking the top 6 now?
No. So y'all take the last 2 home.
Yeah.
So it's gonna be I See You by Elijah, and then The Outlier by Sinead. And you just read them, write your comments, and then we come tomorrow. Out of everything that we read, is it everybody will pick their top 6, and
Yeah.
we'll see if there's any overlap between the ones that we pick.
Yeah. 6 or 7. I mean, like try to.
Yeah, 6 or 7.
Do you want the ones that we don't want?
So, no.
If you don't want to carry them, I mean, do you want to take them back? The ones that they just already don't like.
Take your top ones and the ones you have to read.
Are you saying like the ones that you don't want? Should you take?
They probably don't want to carry that. That's what I'm saying.
I'll carry
Or do you only want to take the 2 you want to read? Is that what
I'll
y'all
take them
saying?
Yeah, just remember to bring them back.
Yeah.
And then that way, because you may be thinking, and because some of the things that we were talking about is like the criteria is that all of these have potential, right?
Yeah.
And so what we need to think of is not just whether they have potential, but how we want to put them together. And do we want to interweave? Do we want to have it thematically connected? Do we want to have a break and kind of have a narrator? How do we want to do this? And so try to think in that way too. So you can pick your top 7, but then you may want to think, well, which ones go together? So kind of group them in different ways, and then we'll come together. The brain trust is here, right? And then we'll. Did you want to let you jump in?
I just had a question because I know Dr. Morel was trying to see about us potentially meeting later on today.
Right.
Is that set up or?
It is. So we are meeting, but we won't get them. And so I think, yeah. And I really want your input as well. So I mean, if you guys have some already.
Yeah.
Well, we still gotta talk
Some
about it tomorrow.
ideas,
So.
yeah. But I just want to. We still have a productive meeting, I think, tonight. But
Yeah.
yeah.
I'm just
What are we talking about tonight?
Yeah, what are we talking about tonight? With Dr. Morel class.
You're struggling.
Well, because a lot of people from his class couldn't be a part of it.
So we're gonna have to
what
do
we
all this
could-
over again tonight?
No, because we've got it recorded.
Oh,
So
okay.
they got, I mean,
God,
so
thought
it's
we had to
really
go
just,
all
I
over.
mean, like, yeah, I mean, I think discussing, but also thinking of how we want to bring these together, and maybe some of this criteria too. I mean, we could then come back. But I mean, if you guys have ideas now of like things that you see after reading through, we still have 2 more. But are there themes that have
Like right now?
emerged? Yeah.
The idea of like the incest and the tragedies come together.
That's true.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of that. I mean, so that might be something. I mean, we either want to maybe pick different plays because there are a lot of different plays that make it different. But then there have been a lot of reworkings of Oedipus with twists on it, and so then that could be something that's like, okay, we present this play, and it's a story that's pretty well known, but then look at it how it in its different iterations, or maybe that's a cluster.
I also think revenge has been like a theme, revenge or like payback.
Yeah.
Getting back at somebody.
But you know her way. Wasn't it your way? They like no, I don't know whose it was, but they changed the way Oedipus, like the fate was. Like it was the brother.
Or was it when
son?
I think it was his about. It was the.
The Oedipus at Colonus one.
Yeah, they changed the way it was. Like we can add that to the. We can add up the different ways of thinking about it, and like make it one story instead of like separate stories of the same thing.
And I think that's what she's saying. If you can find ways in which they can connect so that they can all seem as if they're part of the same world or the same story, then like you could pick those out and say, here's how I think
they should connect.
Yeah.
Okay.
But you also don't want to put too much work on y'all as the performance if you combine it into one big thing, because I know some of y'all act and also dance, so you don't want to like have too much
going on.
Yeah, on y'all.
Yeah.
I already got too much doing this.
So they can be separate?
Yeah, they can be separate, and you can have like
shows
a narrator between it. It could almost be like you were talking about the monologues earlier. Right? How you have
I definitely would like to see the one with the chains, not actual chains, but like
the Prometheus one.
Yeah, the one where the two men are fighting. Yeah, I definitely want to like see how that one play out because that one would be dope. And
I mean, I think that would be good. I mean, if you guys already have a favorite, so for you it's probably Prometheus.
But I don't think Ishmael wrote it to where we would see him in the chain. I think
not actual chain.
No, it just implied.
But they was walking him to the cell though. They didn't put him in the
No. So they were just trying to say like if there was an implied bondage to signify the movement of force. Mm-hmm. So like just that push and pull idea, not necessarily that he's bound, but like that he's almost like the rope in between them. Yeah. Like that tug of war. If that makes So the bondage is not real.
Yeah, but
Cool. I'm fulfilled.
Me too. We got through a lot doing it this way.
Yeah, I know it was a marathon session. I'll come with more snacks tomorrow. Yeah. So, but thank you guys. This has been great and lots of great ideas. So just I mean we can keep talking if you want, but I mean if you guys.
Is it the same times tomorrow?
Yes. Okay. So we'll be on Rhodes. We'll be at Rhodes in the morning, and then we'll come here in the afternoon. So we'll load up on snacks. We'll get some treats. And hopefully, because I think that's one of the things that Professor Morrell's looking into is maybe the space, but maybe tomorrow afternoon we can really start acting out, and playing around with how we want to do it.
Once we narrow it down to the ones that.
I'll try thinking of some music tonight as well to listen to.
Yeah, that would be great.
Definitely.
I thought it just like what we did with the morning would be great. Mm-hmm. If you're just thinking about okay, well, which ones would I pick? And if so, how would I do it? And things like that. And then we can all share what we come up with in the morning.
Yeah, while going through this, I was trying to imagine these as plays, but I was also kind of debating whether or not I should see it as dancing straight off or as a play with dancing added on to it.
That's a valid question.
Yeah, are we going to do dancing all the way through like we do for most new ballet shows?
I think for some of them, it just depends which one. Because I think for some of them, the one with the priest, how he's having the conversation. Well, not the priest, but where Joseph and the priest is having that conversation. I think dance throughout that one is it would be very cool because then you would have the expressiveness of what he's saying through the movements.
Yeah.
While some other ones, it would kind of be good to do a mix of a normal play but with dance added onto it in certain parts.
Also in that same play you can also reenact not the rape scene but reenact the dynamic of him being younger as he's storytelling.
I was thinking of an idea for that as well. Of course it's gonna be hard to get the actors to move all over the place. I was why not have them not in the certain stage but more off, I guess, to the left side of the stage, more down the stage. Mm-hmm. And as first once he comes in, lights on them as he continues to run, kind of dims and moves towards the background, people dressed in similar costumes, he's trying to remember this as in the past, with some mist, something like that.
Yeah, I like that. Foggy memories. That's good.
Definitely.
And if you want to rank plays based on how much you can do dance-wise, I mean, that's valid too. If you want it to be a bit more dance-heavy and you want that to be the focus, you can rate them accordingly.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Done?
We good?
Yes.
Was it dinner?
Was it dinner?
Did you
Thank you.
That boy says a play thing I have.
Oh.